You ready?
Let's go.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of David's Saturday Night Sit Back. DSNSB is excited to welcome Nick Amour, aka Nick Lovn, to the podcast. If that name sounds familiar, it's because this is his technically second episode. He was being our Jamie on the Christmas Hootenanny, which I hope you tuned into. Nick Lovn is a multimedia producer based out of Austin, Texas, who also focuses on graphic design, video editing, podcast production, and music production. Tonight, he came back for his true appearance on the show. Nick, cheers, mate. Welcome to your episode on the podcast.
Thank you. Now that it's after Christmas.
So now let's see if you can get it right. What's the podcast acronym?
It's DSNSB. David's Saturday Night Sit Back.
I had to ask him because you can't get it right for the life of you.
Well, that wasn't it.
Jamie's just going around. He's like, yeah, the ERJ.
It was the sit back though.
The RJE.
The RJE. You know what? He doesn't talk. He says two things on the podcast. So
he might say a little bit. It depends on the show.
It depends on the show, right? But he doesn't have his own episode, does he?
I don't know that either way, and that's not something I want to fact check right now.
Yeah, no.
But I'll do a search, and on the YouTube version, I'll put like a big yes or a big no.
Some subtitle on the bottom.
Joe doesn't like him as much as I like you.
Oh, thanks, Dave.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me on, man. I think it's great to have a face to the name now.
Now everyone knows.
Yep.
Now when we're making let me get these on.
There you
There we go.
go.
Now when we're like Joe and we're getting 1 million downloads an episode, or he gets like 26 million downloads an episode, people will know. They can go back and see the origin story of Nick Lovn.
I can tell you the origin story of Nick Lovn today.
Well, I do have a question I wanted to start with, a very specific one.
Of course.
2. I lied. 2.
Okay.
Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm happy.
What about?
Well, today in Texas, it was cold. So apparently that means roads are frozen, although it didn't snow. It didn't rain, and I'm from the Northeast, so usually you get like a snow day if there's snow on the ground and it's rained, but listen, I'm happy that there was a work from home day, and I got to work from home, chill, I got to walk my dog. It felt good to be back, just like in the studio, just chilling and working. It was definitely working.
I was gonna say, when you work from home, do you work in the studio?
Yeah, definitely.
Why?
Because that's a vibe, man. I think the place that you work is got to be just as important as the work itself. I think you got to have a really good environment to be creative, and so I think just that area alone just gets me going. But then sometimes, because it's filled with so much music production stuff, it could get hard to get away from that area. So, I think there's some pros and cons to it, but mostly pros.
Because I was just thinking, I forgot that your job definitely has an element of creativity to it, your day job. But I definitely, as the home is now set up, or how it's newly set up, the podcast has completely taken over the dining room area. The work table is gone. That's now over there.
Yeah.
So when I'm working, I'm on that side of the home, and when I'm podcasting, I'm on this side of the home, and I do like separating them out, but also it's different because my job is, I don't care if they hear this, it's very monotonous, it's pretty boring, whereas your job, there you are getting to touch into that creative side.
Yeah, yes and no. I think every job has a little touch of creativity involved, and then the big percentage of it is organization and communication, right? Making sure that you're on your stuff there and making sure that everything is working. You're working, they're working. We're all working. Work. Sponsored by work. But yeah, I was going to ask,
Excuse me.
besides the fact that all of like the podcast equipment is like in this corner and has always been for the longest time, do you enjoy your table being over there by the window over there, or like what was the reason for it just to be right there?
Well, because like I told you, we went over there for Christmas time, and people gave me a lot of feedback about they just felt like the conversations were more comfortable being on the couch and not being across from each other, and that the table made it feel a little bit more interviewee. Also, the table, if one person's leaning on it, it was small enough that the other person leaned on it. You were like right in each other's face. And like for you and me, we wouldn't care. We're buddies, but we've also hung out for hours and hours and hours. Whereas most of the guests are people who are like, they're strangers we've never met before.
Yeah.
You know, we exchange some messages on Instagram. We have a phone call and then we're recording. So we really don't know each other that well. But to answer your question, no episodes have gone out from this corner setup yet, so I haven't got any feedback. But I don't know. What do you think? Because you've seen all three. So what do you think about the current setup?
I think this setup right here is actually pretty good. I do like this. I like that you kind of have your kind of control desk, right? You control everything in front of you. It's in hand's length. You don't really have to like stretch too far away. You can change the angles whenever you want. Like you don't need like a second person to do that. Like right now, maybe later on in the future, you know, who knows? But like, this is all like DIY, and I gotta say, I'm super proud of Dave because he invested in another camera, and he got this camera flipper that changes the angles. So I'm just like, I'm all about that stuff. I'm so glad that you got that. Adds just another edge to the podcast.
I am too. No, the second camera was a great idea. All the bigger podcasts are doing it, and I'm not dicking around here, Nick. You know,
no,
we're aiming for the stars.
Aiming for what are stars? What's past a star? Galaxies?
Well, I think we should just start talking. Let's keep it small and just talk about the stars on Spotify.
Yeah.
Go leave 5 stars there if you haven't yet, and maybe 5 more on Apple Podcasts for a total of 10 stars. But actually, I was just talking about this with past guest Tom Barvik, who you think is fake. He has a podcast! I have video proof that he's a real-life person.
Oh, really?
So, Nick, I've referenced Tom like probably over 10 times, but he's never met him. And he made a joke the other day that he thinks Tom is fake. He ain't. But he was sort of pontificating, and we should pontificate on this. He was like, there's no way aliens aren't real. Like, we only know up to, like, Pluto as far as planets go, right?
Yeah.
And we're sort of starting to map out some different things about the galaxy. But he's like, there's so many planets, and it just goes, right? It just goes and goes and goes. Like, you're telling me whether they look like humans or they're a completely different species. There's nothing out there. Nothing at all. Lies. Like, there's got to be something.
Well, I guess the question to add on to that, too, is, like, do you think that all right, we don't really know a lot of our oceans, right? We only know, like, a certain percentage of it, and it's not even, like, that deep. But it is deep. It's deep enough to just kill us, right? Because we can't take the pressure. Would you call, like, fish or species or whatever they are down there, would you label them as aliens as the same as you would label somebody from the stars?
How do you define an alien?
Well, an alien is like a species that you don't know, right? It's like just like a random identifier for things that are all over the place. Are you looking this up?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Because I want to know now too. Because what's really funny about aliens is like my version of aliens is like the Men in Black aliens. I love those movies, the Men in Black 1 and 2 with Will Smith.
Belonging to a foreign country or nation.
Yeah,
so
they're foreign.
But I feel like that's talking more about someone like a human being on Earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean there. Yeah.
It's unfamiliar, disturbing, or distasteful, such as bossing anyone around was alien to him.
So I guess alien is a term for a species that is unknown.
So
that's what it seems like it is. It means unknown.
Relating to or denoting being supposedly from other worlds, I would say that fish could be called aliens. The bottom of the ocean is like, yes, it's all planet Earth, but what you have going up on here on ground is
Well, they're breathing water, right? And we breathe air,
yeah.
right? And so if we go further out into space, right, there's like less to no oxygen, right? So there's got to be some other chemical or scientific reasoning for aliens to be able to breathe, right? Because even if we did have an alien, right, it would be dead because it would have never have breathed the air that we have, right? Like fish, they need water, right? And if we're labeling fish as an alien for the most unknown species and we take them out of land and they're dead, means that they can't breathe in the current condition that we as humans have just adjusted to due to evolution. So, yeah, do I believe that aliens are real? Yeah, I think so, probably. However, we probably would never get to talk to them because we all have different ways of living, right? Like, I don't know. They're not mammals, right? Like, they don't breathe air.
Well, I think the fish analogy is sort of a good one because we can't, I don't think we will ever be able to communicate with the fish. But we know they can communicate with each other.
Yeah, right.
So
Possibly.
They have their own, maybe not in full sentences like what we do, but they're not just like, whales aren't going around wondering what the other whales are thinking.
Well, I think whales are a little bit different because whales are humongous. Aren't whales mammals?
Yeah. Oh man,
Dude, we're getting into it.
You're bringing me back to that science class that I
Yeah.
failed.
Well,
Get degrees. I didn't fail it.
Well, here's the deal. I think dolphins are mammals, right? So because they've got the blowhole, they breathe air, right? So I think whales are different because they're mammals.
There are 47 different species of whales that are considered mammals.
Oh, wow, only that amount. The other ones are considered fish.
You ever heard of a sperm whale?
Yeah, of course.
Oh. How about a cogalidae?
I don't even know if you're pronouncing that right. Kogidae?
For the audience, it's Kogiiidae.
If you know this
Maybe
species
the
of whale...
Maybe the I and the D is silenced and it's a koge.
Hey, listen to this. If you know the species of whale, comment down below. And also, like, subscribe, and hit that noti bell.
This is just going to be a 2-hour promotion to get likes and subscribers. And
after every segment, we segue with, well, you just got to like and subscribe.
But you know what is crazy? I put this on my Instagram story recently, but I haven't said it in the podcast. Right now, only about 1% of returning listeners have subscribed or left a review on Spotify or left a review on Apple.
Well, I think...
1%.
Well, listen, I think things are changing again. The thing that I saw online, sometimes I get some weird videos sent to me because I don't produce a lot of media, but I get a lot of producer media YouTube in my algorithm. And sometimes I get some just like really quick tidbits that I pick up and I'm like, oh, wow, that's actually really smart. I forgot who it was. I'm so sorry. I can't, this isn't in my, I can't cite the source, but what I can say is that I think what's happening is it's not about the subs anymore. It's more about the view count because
I am fucked.
Well, no, I don't think so because I think, well, the deal is that the views, right? If you think about it, me and you are viewers, right?
Right.
And we just view fucking anything random, anything that we like that comes on our timeline, we'll probably click. And if not, we still hover over the mouse and the video will still move and we could still kind of watch it with subs and it's still considered a view. Right. So I think basically what YouTube is doing is they're kind of changing up the format where it's like, it's not really about subscribers anymore because it's all about viewers. There's more viewers than there are subs, right? According to your analytics.
Oh, I definitely have more viewers than subscribers.
And I think that's something you should probably keep in mind, because subs are great and I think that's awesome. But I think it comes to a point where, like, I don't know, magazines, right? They were subscription based. Who gets subscriptions to magazines anymore? Do you?
No.
I think things with subs, they just kind of deteriorate, and then it goes down to the analytics of, like, viewership. So as long as you've got a good viewership and people are watching and they're communicating and adding comments and likes and 5 stars, we can move forward in a positive light. Because I think the subs thing is, like, YouTube kind of made the subs thing a little bit more popular because they started giving out, like, weird plaques to people. Have you seen those? Those, like, silver plaques? There's, like, silver plaques that you can obtain. It's like a check mark in your journey of YouTube. You hit, like, 100,000 and you get, like, a plaque, a silver plaque. Yeah.
So I'm going to shit on my coworkers a little bit.
Oh, great.
I'm going to let the ego go wild here for about 60 seconds. So in the last quarter of 2023, me and I think it was only one other person, maybe 3, but on our entire, me and one other colleague named Kirsty, we were tied for having the most number of hires. And a couple days later in January, I guess LinkedIn awarded all these LinkedIn super users, like, congratulations on being the top 25% of users on LinkedIn. And it was funny because they were all sort of congratulating each other on the Teams channel that we share. And I'm like, well, I didn't get that plaque, but my commission was higher than all of y'all.
Right.
So...
Dude, none of that matters, dude. I have to say, I think, like, LinkedIn has got unhinged in the past year or so. I don't know if you've seen this, but now people are posting, like, has to be, like, 20 to 30 hashtags in posts. They, like, write these long clickbaity articles that makes you click more. I read the comments, man, and they're unhinged. I saw some guy trying to ask why somebody was racist towards AI. Somebody was, like, trying to argue that AI is now a sentient being, and that because somebody didn't like using AI, they started calling out somebody in derogatory terms to try to defend his point that AI is still going to be around. And I believe that AI is still going to be around, but it's like, dude, you're on LinkedIn. Like, chill. Like, what are you trying to solve here?
He's changing the world.
Yeah, right. No, AI is changing the world. He's just, like, lobbying for them.
We'll come back to LinkedIn. Well, actually, let's stay on LinkedIn. I'll remember what I wanted to go back to.
Let's talk about LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, and actually, you know what literally is on my notes? I was hoping you would go on a LinkedIn rant.
Yes.
I put a little note in here, and I just was like, get him riled up about LinkedIn. So, did you...
Let's go.
So,
you want to go LinkedIn?
Here's one thing that I think is funny, is I looked up... it's not their business statement, but LinkedIn's purpose, to your point, is professional networking, career development, allow job seekers a place to post their CVs, and employers a place to post jobs.
Right.
And even I try to post every day. Because at the end of the day, when an accountant signs on, I want them to see me. Whether it's recruiting related, I try to always keep it semi-professional.
Yeah.
So even if it's not about recruiting and if it's not about my company, there's something there. And they're like, oh, that David guy, yeah, I listened to an episode of his podcast. I'm going to talk to him first. That's all I care about.
Yeah,
so that's why I post. But when we were at Barnes & Noble, you were talking about just how, like, what are some of the posts that show up on your feed? Like, so you have the unhinged clickbaity rants, but, like, here's the point. When was the last time you saw a resume posted?
I saw a resume posted. It had to be, like, months ago, but it was just, like, somebody who was let go of, like, a weatherman spot, and then they were like, I think when things don't go well for the person who's using LinkedIn job-wise, like they get let go or they need to find a new job, they'll instantly post their like resume and whatnot. To your point, though, I really do think that what happened was with the internet came images, sharing images, right? Mm-hmm. And came sharing images became inside jokes. And what came inside jokes became memes. And what became memes became just like a crazy amount of image-based content that people use to clickbait to get somebody's attention. And that's like, you know, I understand that's part of digital marketing, right? But at some level is like, did LinkedIn really need to add images to its platform to follow all four of those rules or guidelines that they follow, right? Because there's definitely a fifth unsaid guideline, which is, you know, as long as it's got something to do with work, post about it and let's debate. It's a public forum. It's Facebook for work, essentially. But do you think that LinkedIn would be better without images? Now, I'm saying you could post like PDFs of your CV or your resume, right?
But if it banned everything else?
But if it took away all of like the images and the videos and stuff like that, if they took out all of that marketing BS, do you think it would be more effective?
That's an interesting question. My gut reaction is to say no because
right.
because personally, in my opinion, IMO, every Friday I post an accounting related meme. And I literally say every fucking Friday the exact same thing. Here's some humor at the expense of our friends in public accounting. Have a great Friday, y'all. See you on Monday. And then I'll put a little couple emojis. David, Daredevil, Claire, Recruiter, and Podcast.
So you're low-key roasting people. And then you're like, have a great weekend.
And it's always at their expense. It's always trashing the accounting industry.
Oh,
and
great.
Ironically, these ones always get the most impressions, likes, comments. But when I post, hey, I'm hiring, you think I get anyone apply to that job? Fuck no.
I think it's because the images are relatable. And
well, they're for an accountant, they will bring you to tears. They're funny as hell.
Well, they're super relatable. I think that's the thing about memes is that they became super relatable in our culture. And so we start using memes to communicate with people in a joking manner. I mean, we use GIFs on a daily basis, right? To send to people. Do you use GIFs?
Yeah. I love them.
Yeah. Who doesn't? They're awesome. They're amazing.
One of my friends, Josh, I would only respond to him in GIFs, and one time he may have even called me, and he was like, if you don't respond normally, I might not be your friend anymore. It's like,
oh man. And then you send him a GIF.
Good phone call.
Bye.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. See ya.
But that's an interesting question. If LinkedIn decided to be like, hey, we've become too Facebooky, let's go back to what our purpose was, which is helping people find jobs and employers find candidates.
Yeah.
I do think that taking away memes would be interesting. From a recruiting perspective, they'd be fine. Because think about where LinkedIn makes its money. My company spends $500,000 a year on LinkedIn. And there's we have hundreds of competitors. So if they're all spending similar types of money, if they took away memes, we would still, quote unquote, have to use them because that is how we find candidates outside of direct applications and referrals.
Right.
So from the perspective of money, I don't think they would lose anything. The only people they would lose are the people who are using it for fun. You know, like, so I don't get to make my Friday posts anymore. Who cares? But for all the people who are, like you said, making these posts that are just clickbaity, it's like, what's the purpose here? What are you even doing? Like, it's LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Those would be the only people they would lose.
I think the purpose of people who use that without a purpose are still just trying to make money. I think like it's like a really quick way. Because the thing about graphic design, it's supposed to get people's attention. Right? Like the image is supposed to be relatable, right? We've gone from having like flat graphics and all of this like animation stuff. Now it's like 3D and real images of people, right? A lot of our memes are images of people as much as they are like old cartoons and reused content. So just memes are just, like I said before, they're just super relatable. I think people, they do love them, but I think LinkedIn is whatever. They're working with what they got, right? But if you were able to have your own profile picture, you could still have your cover photo, and your company could put their logo on there. I mean, I guess we're calling it Indeed at this point because you can't really post on Indeed. But yeah, LinkedIn is wild.
I haven't been on Indeed in a while, but I do think that they're two very different things. Indeed, like, I can't send messages to people on Indeed. That's probably why I don't use it, is because I can't contact those. Well, I can contact them if they apply to a job, and it does have a backside functionality for employers. I've seen the paid version, but it's not LinkedIn.
Yeah,
it's worse. The paid feature. You can search for candidates, but you know what? I'll give LinkedIn a little credit. I've never thought about this before. The search abilities on LinkedIn, I'm trying to think of like a
question for you. How about, instead of thinking about that, do you know how much money it costs to post a job on LinkedIn a week?
I only know our total spend.
Okay.
So no.
No, I wonder, because I think it's like around $600 for Indeed, like a week.
For 1 week?
For 1 week or a month. Somebody commented.
If you sponsor, I do know that number. It's a lot less. Because we in my last employer before my current one, we posted on Indeed. But what Indeed does is, it was always a pretty cheap posting. It was like, I don't know, 25, 50, 75 bucks, something like that, under 100.
Oh, wow.
And I think, based off how we used it, Indeed, when you don't boost your job, they will only allow a certain number of applicants in. Because I would notice we'd post it, and on day 1 we'd get like 8 people, and then on day 2 we'd get like 5 people, and day 3 we'd get like 2 people, and then all of a sudden people would just stop applying, and I'd get this message in my inbox saying, "Are you sure you don't want to sponsor this job? Looks like your candidate's
dried up. Do you want to invest in the building that's being built down the street?" That's what that means.
Well, I mean, from a business perspective, people might be like, "Why is he shitting on LinkedIn?" And I'll play advocate to my own devil, but we are quite literally paying for candidates. I think the difference is on LinkedIn, there is a flat rate, I believe, where you pay X amount and it will post that job and it stays live and candidates will see it, and LinkedIn doesn't suppress it, whereas Indeed, I'm pretty sure it fucking got suppressed.
Well, LinkedIn also has, if I'm correct, they have just like a whole basis of like recruiting. They have a really good way of communicating to people even if you don't know them, right? Like, because when I'm on LinkedIn, there are times where I will get messages from people who are trying to sign me up for a master's degree. Does that ever happen to you, where you're getting like you're just on LinkedIn and you just get a message from somebody random, you never met them in your life, and they're like, "We got this master's degree at somewhat school. You want to go in debt?"
Because you're a graphic designer, I'd be curious what your 2 cents are on this. I would get the master's degree pitch like 5 to 8 times a year.
Right.
I get emails from employers offering me a job, or not even a job, an interview.
Yeah.
Maybe once a month. It's pretty little.
Wow.
As soon as I put that I was a podcast host, the second I put that on there, at least one a day paid podcasting promotion without fail, at least one a day.
Like somebody
where another human hits me up and says, "I do paid podcasting promotion. Yeah. I will get you 10,000 new listeners and this many more subscribers." And they have this whole data. And then some of them will show images of other podcasts they work on of before and after. And then it says, "Would you like to work together? If I don't get you these numbers, you don't pay."
That's a scam.
You think those are even fake or real people?
You know what? Even if they were real people, it's a scam. Because at the end of the day, right, this is self-funded. Right? This whole podcast is self-funded. You put your money into this stuff, right? Why do you need to pay extra for somebody? Do you think that one person is going to be able to get you X amount of things in a short amount of time with what he said? If you paid him everything that he asked for, you think you're really going to get those results? Real organic results from one guy?
No,
No, of course not.
I think he or she and she's they.
They're looking for money.
I think they're leaning into the need for instant gratification. There's a guy who I talked to, I've talked about on the show, who launched a t-shirt company here in Austin. And I think he left his website live for like 10 days, 15 days, 20 days. And he shut it down because he was like, you were the only one that bought a t-shirt, like literally. And people marketers, these people hitting me up,
yep,
they know that podcasters launch a podcast and they want people to listen. And I do want people to listen. But going back to the comment I said earlier when I was like, fuck, I'm screwed. I think for anyone who's thinking about getting into podcasting, you really just have to have fun.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy that you're over here tonight. Yeah. We're having fun. If this episode got 0 listens, which it won't, but if it did, I wouldn't care too much. I'd be like, it was weird. Let's look into that. Let's see what happened. Did we curse like in the first minute or something? We would look into it. But at the end of the day, I think with a lot of, just like with a lot of things in life, if you want instant gratification, podcasting is probably the worst game to get into. And thus that gratification is I had a good time having someone over to have a conversation with them. But if your instant gratification is you want to be Rogan, you're probably going to fail.
Yeah. That's so funny you say that. I think now, whatever. I do think that the media tends to give us the idea that instant gratification is real. I'm not trying to say that it's fake, but it's like, it's not cool to I don't know. I think this instant gratification stuff is wild to me because, to your point, right? Like, are you trying to do this to be rich, or are you trying to do this to like have fun? Now, there are possibilities of making money out of this, right? Like, we all know that. Podcasting is one of the biggest medias right now. It's like it's so huge. Everyone has a podcast. Mike Tyson has a podcast. Snoop Dogg has a podcast. Damn near everybody has a podcast. And I'm not trying to say that it's saturated, but I'm just saying that these people who are coming to you and saying, hey, I can get you this instant gratification for X amount of money. Well, in my mind, that's like, well, I would rather enjoy the journey than like pay you money for a cheat code to get me to the top. Because really, at the end of the day, who are these people? If you do any research on the people who are messaging you, they're just part of an agency or their own like agency or they're contracting or freelancing. They're just trying to fit their own quota. They're doing what you're doing almost, but like in a scammier way, right? Where you're giving people jobs and opportunity, but like these other people are like,
I was like, what do you mean by that?
No. I mean, like, but these people are trying to recruit people to pay for their marketing services, more or less, right? And sometimes,
well, yeah, but the difference when people get a message from me is I'm trying to increase their paycheck.
Well,
I'm trying to give them money.
That's what I said. You're trying to give them a better opportunity,
right?
Well, I feel like these people who are asking you to like, if you pay me, I can get you to X, Y, and Z. I think it's all BS. I think it's a scam. And I bet you $5 it's a bot. I bet it's a bot who sent you that. It's a bot that they like paid for on LinkedIn that sent you that message to make you spend $500 to get to some analytic that you're hoping to get to. I've worked with people in the past before who have asked me about using certain services on like how to get more subscribers and stuff. And let me tell you, they completely disregarded my comments, right? But I don't know, like, first of all, I didn't really think that they were very authentic, first of all. And two, like, okay, you get to that level, then what? Right? You get like 10,000 followers, then what?
Right. Well,
what if they're bots? Then what? You know, like, it's all about just like moving forward and just not worrying about that and worrying about views, I feel. Because if you're worried about the subs, right, like, you're trying to do this for the wrong reasons, I feel.
So one thing I thought was interesting is before you and I met, to your point about bots,
yes,
in a different perspective, I had someone on the show who at the time I think had somewhere between 50 and 100,000 followers. Mm-hmm. And then the following week, I had someone on the show who had like 1,300 followers. So when it comes on Instagram, so drastically different following, right? And as I was posting all of guest number one's clips on Instagram and tagging them as a collaborator, they were very generous and accepted like 7 out of the 7 of the invitations, reposted all of them to their page. And what I thought was sort of cool at first was I started getting all these push notifications from Instagram. Your post has 2,000 views. Your post has 3,000 views. Your post has 10,000 views. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder if this episode, like the full length episode, is going to take off. Maybe one of the lesser performing ones when it came to people actually going to Spotify, Apple, or YouTube, where you should leave a 5-star review and hitting play. Guest number 2 comes out, the individual with 1,300 followers. Also was very generous, hit yes on several of the posts. The post did almost nothing. We got like maybe 10, 20, 30 likes, maybe got 500 views on 1 or 2 of them. But his episode it was the first episode second episode where the numbers just sort of took off once it hit the web.
Oh, wow.
And so as I was talking about it with my podcast coach, he thinks that person number 1 probably bought a lot of those followers.
Oh, totally.
And that person number 2,
How many did he have again?
somewhere between 50 and 100K.
Yeah.
Whereas,
He doesn't know 100,000 people.
whereas person number 2, well, and I will say, like, no, he doesn't. But also, Rogan doesn't know all of his followers.
Yeah, but Rogan is a performer.
But I agree with you. So then person number 2, he was like, how many of those 1,300 people do you think that guy probably has met in person? And I was like, probably 100% of them. And he was like, that's why.
Yeah.
Because when he posted it, 1,300
Right.
people who were interested in his life went and hit play. Whereas this guy, people found the clips entertaining, or these bots. But like, are those even people?
Isn't it funny that it's not about the subscribers, it's about the views?
Well, and that's why I like your point of you. Oh, this goes back to what you said 5 minutes ago. You have to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
You really do.
Totally.
Because if I went and paid these guys, and even if they did get me all these views, I would feel like I almost scammed myself because there was no work involved. There's something about going and squatting 315 pounds.
Right.
You feel fucking good.
Right.
Because it took years.
Right. It's like conditioning for like football or like any sport in high school or losing weight or anything like that, right? Like, okay, so somebody sends you a message on LinkedIn and says, I got a magical pill that you can lose 50 pounds. Are you going to do it?
Right.
I mean,
that's
you could.
That's what they're offering.
Right. Exactly. Like a really quick scheme. A really quick scheme to try to get you to feel better about yourself.
The other thing, too, is that part of the reason that this journey, I think, is going to be amazing, that I know it's going to be amazing, is we had, like, Emma on the show in December, and she's a movie producer, and right now she has her first show on YouTube for free because she's entry level.
Yeah.
And my vision for this podcast is that 5 years from now, I will have exponentially grown. She will have exponentially grown.
Yeah.
She will have a show on HBO Max, and because I know her personally, I can hit her up and say, I'm still podcasting. Congrats on your first show.
Yeah.
Do you want to come on and talk about it? And that is my vision, is that I am looking for all these people who are just right. You're another great example.
Thanks.
Who are right at the beginning of something amazing.
Right.
And we can all celebrate this together over the next
Totally.
2, 4, 6 years on this platform.
Yeah, I think you're doing a great thing because you're talking to people who are very passionate about what they love to do. You know that they put the work in, and you know because of that, it creates results. So a lot of people that you have on this podcast are result-driven people, right? They know that what they do, and if they love it and they have low expectations and they just keep going at it and they keep stabbing at it, they're just going to get more professional at it as it comes. And it doesn't matter where they land as long as they're in it. They're in the industry, right? You're at a level. What's cool about you, David, is that your podcast is at like this level of you understand that you're kind of like in this intro level, and you're finding other people who are at the same level as you with their brands, their companies, their whatever they do, and you're having them on. And then I think what's great is that it's just going to be the test of time that you're going to have another episode with this girl, and she's going to have like so much more to say because she's just been so focused on like her passion. And I think like you're just gonna be amazed, and you're making great connections. The more connections you make that way too, the more better the podcast will be. I mean, who's to say she gets somebody on the show and you get her on on your show as well, right? You get more guests through networking, right? So you're networking with like the right people at the right level. Like you're not coming up to me and being like, yo, Nick, I just asked Shane Gillis to come onto the podcast. You think he's going to make it? You know what I mean? You've got this like expectation of the people you know are going to get on and who are going to talk and have great stories. And they're going to have even more later on down the road, right? And also to your point about having fun in the process, I think this comes down to literally everything relationship-wise. If you're a guy or a girl, relationships,
or
work, work relationships, finding a job, working on a passion, doing anything. It gets so crazy in this world because we're so focused on getting to the end result. But if we have low expectations with everything, then we're not setting a standard that's impossible to hit, right? And you're having fun. And you're enjoying somebody's company, or you're enjoying the process, you're enjoying the work. And I really think that if you keep at it with that mentality and not compare yourself to high players, then you're going to be just fine. Because I feel like a lot of people who compare themselves to people in a high expectation, they tend to burn out. Right? I felt like that. Like I'll compare myself to music artists who are like signed, they have Grammys, they do this and they do that, right? I just burn out. Do you ever feel like that? Do you ever compare yourself to somebody who's in the podcasting space and your energy just becomes so low after that?
So I have a couple things I want to ask you. Yes, or I'll answer your question first. Maybe not in the way that you'd be expecting. So I have
low expectations.
No. Well, that is something I wanted to talk with you about, and in fact, I might even jot it down real quick.
Talk
about
cut real quick. I'm gonna take a pee break.
First pee break.
Just letting you know.
There's gonna be 17 of these.
5 stars. Subscribe. Notification bell. Pee break. If you're still watching. Here, we'll do this. I'm going to pour this in here. You can hear this. And I'll let you know that I have music on Spotify and Apple Music. NickLovn. A lot of lo-fi, hip-hop, synthwave, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's called it something different. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Just a little plug. You don't have to keep that in if you don't want to.
We're going to keep it in, and at the end, remind me to ask you where people can find you.
All right, word.
We'll do it twice.
Word.
To answer your question about the comparison thing, so Tony Bennett said something that if you copy one person, it's copying. But if you're copying multiple people, it's just research.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is because I want to grow the YouTube platform the most, I have several episodes, several podcasts, such as Stiff Socks, Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Steve Bartlett, Chris Williamson, and there's a few others I'm forgetting at the moment. Recruiting Trailblazers for one within my industry. And when I'm listening to them, it's interesting because I'm 50% listening to them, 50% watching how they react to their guests, what their follow-up questions are, how they've designed their sets. If the set changed, what did they change about it? If they've done an episode about how to launch a podcast, how to grow an existing podcast, I'll definitely listen to the crap out of those episodes, phone away, taking notes. I actually just listened to one about how to get sponsors, and I'll run that by you. We could even just do it live tonight, but we don't have to. But so what's interesting is when I'm looking at all these people that I admire and taking notes on things that I like about them and how we could implement that here, I actually get very energized.
Right.
Where I'll be very honest with you, and I sort of hate that you're making me be honest on mic, but it's okay. It's good for us. It's good for us. It's good for me. There are a couple Austin-based podcasts where we all launched about the same time, and when I get most deflated, my dark place is looking them up.
Yeah.
My dark
feel
place
that.
is looking at their 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
My dark place is seeing who they've got on their shows. My dark place is looking at the name of, oh, they got merch. They got merch, and they're only 3 months in. I'm a year in.
Yeah.
And I don't have merch. Why don't I have merch?
Well,
so
yeah,
I agree. So I think that what you have to do is have enough self-awareness to know I can look up to people who it would be stupid to compare myself to. For me to compare David Saturday Night Sit Back to Diary of a CEO would be comparing a cup of water to a Great Dane. Like, what are you comparing?
Yeah, right.
It's a stupid exercise.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's I'll stop talking in a second to get your 2 cents, but I think you just have to realize, like, I am not Steve. I am David. But Steve is 6 years ahead of me. So what can I take from him and implement and maybe even copy? I've had questions from all the episodes I mentioned where I'm like, that was such a good question.
Yeah.
And I literally have a document that's called Questions for Anybody, and they're all questions I want to bring up at some point in this episode. And I don't feel bad about that. I'm excited. And if I found out there is a podcaster younger than me, not younger in age, but younger in how long their show's been around, and they were taking questions from DSNSB and using them in their shows, I'd be fucking honored.
Yeah,
I'd be like, that's sick as fuck.
Well, it's such a shame that I feel like our society kind of gives us shit when we are stealing stuff. And I don't mean stealing as in like literally going into somebody's house and taking their stuff. I would be pretty sad if somebody did that to me. What I mean is that great artists, they create, but they also steal, right? The biggest example that I have for this is that, and I don't know if you know too much about hip hop and the way it's created, but to your point, what you're talking about with your research is a lot like what sampling is in music. Do you know what sampling is?
No, tell us.
So sampling is basically this idea where you take a record and you record the record, or you record a certain part of the record. You take the audio and you chop it up, and then you create a brand new composition based upon that past creation that was made. The big problem with it is that because the artist who originally created that song, the sample, they want the money involved with the next level of the production. Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there's been a lot of lawsuits with a lot of top producers and artists due to the fact that they've sampled these records from these artists who just want a cut of that. Now, without putting the money involved, what you're doing is a lot like what hip hop does with sampling, where you're going to past podcasts, right? Or people who have been in the game longer than you, and you're kind of sampling the way that one person does something. Because I'm sure your podcast isn't based on just like one podcaster, like Theo Von, right? You might look at his stuff, but you watch various different podcasters, and your style is influenced by not one person, but by maybe 10 people, just in little doses, right? Just in the way that you have conversations with people and the way that you want your podcast to be end result when everything is said and done after the recording, right? And what's funny is that the things that I kind of look at is also more like analytic based, is like, what's the title look like? What's the thumbnail look like? Mm-hmm. You know, I don't really care about the like ratio because I think they took out the dislikes, although you can get like Chrome extensions to see the dislike and the like. But really, you're just sampling concepts from people who are successful and using that to your advantage to be successful. Now, I understand that there's some podcasts that have been doing it as long as you, and believe me, I'm in the same boat where I know some people who are getting pretty big streaming numbers on Spotify, right? And I get in my dark place when I'm like, well, damn, I'm not there. But I mean, really, I don't have a lot of content out. I don't have a lot of music out. And a lot of these people are so ingrained. Sorry.
spilled
A
it
lot
on
of
you.
these, I know.
You just hit your pants, not my
Anyway,
chair.
a lot of these people are so ingrained in enjoying the process so much that I don't even think they even notice other people. That's the thing, is like comparison is like the opposite of being productive, I feel. Because if you compare yourself to somebody, and David, we know this, right? Like a lot of these people that we've talked about, they're out and about in the streets of Austin. They've got all day, and they go to clubs and they talk to people. And that's probably why they're getting their viewership, right? Is because they're being just as active in the real world, and they know that analytically will help them online as well.
Well, the other thing too is that there's two podcasts in particular that I mentioned, not just one, but one of them is very, very niche, which my podcast coach, he did say that you're specific and you're not. You're specific in the sense that you're having people on to tell stories that will motivate the audience.
Yeah.
But that's also very vague, because guest number one is an anthropologist talking about being a gay man in a small town.
Yep.
Where guest number two is a female who was molested at 4 years old and is now scaling $1 billion business. And so whereas the ones that we're talking about, one of them is super niche.
Yeah.
We are talking about this topic only.
And they have only like 2 guests at a time, like the same guest.
No, it's a different guest every episode.
Cool.
That is something we're similar, is that we both bring in a new person every time.
Okay.
And then the other one, they keep their episodes between 20 and 30 minutes, and it's very much like we're here to give you some positive affirmation. So again, like very specific.
Oh, wow.
And I do think that with the 20 to 30 minute one, I almost am comparing the glass of water to the Great Dane, because they are so specific, and they know at minute 25 we're chopping this thing off no matter what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Whereas you and me, we don't know if we're going to go for 60 minutes tonight or if we're going to go for 3 hours. And when you put a 3-hour episode out there, you're asking for 3 hours
you're asking
of
for a lot of
time.
Yeah. So what do you feel about that? Like, so now that you identified that, right? Like, how do you feel that? To me, what I see is that you like talking to people, and you like having these long conversations, and you want to have these long conversations because in your eyes, in your mind, that's how you get to know somebody, right? And that's how you get to know somebody's story, is through having a long conversation, right? So I guess the niche here is that you have conversations, but then like the thing that spreads out to the niche is that everybody is very diverse in their story. It's like not, some connect, some don't, right? They're all over the place. Right. So that's, yeah, definitely. But I wonder what that says about the viewer, right? Like instead of putting you in that box, right? Let's think of the viewer, right? Like, it just sounds like the viewers are just a bunch of people who just can't pay attention for more than 30 minutes. They can't go in class without tapping on. I
don't want to insult people.
No, I'm not insulting them. I'm just saying, as a society, as viewers, we love the instant gratification.
Oh, we do. And it's funny too about your point, because I am someone who at nighttime can sit down and watch an hour to 2 hours of TV, whether it's 2 episodes of a show or a movie. Me and Thad do that almost every single night. And it for us, we need it, because I go from 8 hours of interviewing accountants to 3 hours of interviewing someone else. I just literally, and then I go to the gym for another hour and a half, and I see people there. I just spent 12 and a half hours of talking.
Yeah.
I need that 90 minutes of just like mind numbing, just like whatever the fuck is on.
Yeah, some people's interactions,
my audience.
Some people's interactions, I feel, are just internet based. Isn't that wild to think about? Some people, and this isn't anything. This isn't bad, but I also think it's not good.
I guess you're unique in that. I guess recruiters are unique in the sense of how many jobs. If you're not like C-level executives, like I figure higher up people, they probably do a lot of meetings. But that's also a very small group. So if you're not a C-level executive and you're not a recruiter, I guess there's not a lot of jobs out there where you are literally engaging with humans from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yeah. You know, if your job was smart, they'd hire you to be like this recruiter podcaster so that every time you recruit somebody, the interview was actually a 2-hour podcast.
I mean,
Wouldn't that be funny?
if I opened a recruiting agency where I'm a solo recruiter and I will help you find your C-level executives, that'd be a very interesting pitch. And I'm reaching out to these executives saying, hey, I'm a recruiter and a podcast host. I'm looking for a C-level for a tech company in Austin, Texas. Your interview, if you would like to be considered for this role, is to come on my show live in person and tell your story.
And dude, you have you have all the questions, dude, and you can even have like the company who's looking for these people, you can have them sponsor the show and they give you the specific type of questions to use for them. Wouldn't that be sick? Please don't steal my idea.
I was going to say, did we just create my exit plan?
We just Whoa!
This whole last 4 minutes may need to be clipped.
David is not quitting.
I'm not going anywhere.
He's not leaving. He's just creating a second podcast.
Right, yeah, totally. One that's going to make a fuck ton of money.
Dude, I think that's how you...
I'd be curious what you guys think of that concept for anyone that's listening right now. Because I think it would be good to start. None of the YouTube videos get commented on, and that's really the only place you can leave a comment on the specific episode.
Yeah.
So I think maybe I should start asking people to comment on something specific instead of vague. So the comment for this episode, one of the many, it will be, what do you think of that concept?
The concept to alliterate.
Not to get me out of my company, but just as in general.
The concept, again, is that he is a recruiter who gets people who are looking for jobs, or he has a company that's looking for a specific role, finds that person in whatever state, gets them on the podcast, and the interview is the podcast. I think that's perfect because an interview is usually 45 minutes anyway. That's like a halfway between 30 minutes and 2 hours. And I think like it would be fascinating. And it would also give people and people who are looking for jobs, like it would give them a good reason to research how a good interview works.
I wonder that would be real interesting because part of what was just going through my head as you talked was what if they don't get the job? But I guess I could tell them, the value add to you is this. Yes, we're using company ABC's questions, but if you don't land the job, I'm still going to post it on my platform where we have X amount of downloads every single week. And now whenever you go into any interviews, instead of offering a cover letter, put a link tree on your bottom of your resume saying, if you would like to see my 45-minute interview, click on this link and check out episode 187.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I also think you should add a TikTok link and then have like 1 minute. Like some of the best talking points that they have.
Just like
that's
I do already.
That's the mini content. Yeah. That's literally it. That's it. You guys want some sauce? You want some sauce? Here, let me tell you what the sauce is.
What's the marinara?
Big. It's a funnel, man. It starts from the top and it's really big. Right? You ever been on a water slide that puts you in a funnel?
Yeah.
And then you like go down and down and down? Well, think about it with content, right? The bigger the content, the more you're able to funnel into mini content that benefits you with the algorithm. I think that's what they want you to do. But I really do believe that like the more content, see, this is the thing about having a 30-minute episode compared to like a 2-hour podcast. Mm-hmm. You have more content.
I have a shit ton.
Right, exactly. And you have a lot that you can like mess around with, right? And so I think that's what's the beauty of having a long podcast is like more content. I think a lot of people probably just understand that a lot of people have short attention spans and they want to have these short podcasts. But yeah, anyway, back to the point.
Well, I do think too that they sort of caught on to something where do you really need more than 20 minutes of positive affirmations? Like, is anyone like whereas so many of these episodes there is not a clear chopping point. Like, look at us. We've been all over the map in a good way. I mean, it's sort of. We're sort of just talking about LinkedIn marketing, different ways to market. But I definitely would rather have 100,000 people that are watching every second of every episode than 30 million people who only watch the clips, if that makes... Here's what I'm trying to say. I love it. I'm not changing it. and it is what it is.
Yeah.
And if it's the hardest form of podcast to market, so be it.
Dude. And I think what's the beauty about even having this equipment too, and I've talked
so
to you.
Pretty.
Well, I've talked about this before with you, but now that you have this equipment and that you understand it, dude, you can even market yourself to help other people start podcasts. I had a friend tell me the other day. Now, granted, he's in New Hampshire, so don't get your hopes up. But he said, how much would it cost for an hour or two to just do a podcast? And it's like, dude, I really don't know because it depends on the studio rate. But to me, that's telling me that there are people out there who have no idea what any of this does, and they just want to pay per hour to do it. Right? So now that you have this equipment, you can even pursue media because you understand how this works. This is a job on its very own, bro. Right. You do 2 jobs at once. He does podcasting, he's talking to me, he's doing the switcher, and he's doing the audio as we go. That's pretty crazy. I know that it's base level stuff, but that's job worthy stuff in my opinion.
I wanted to give people a quick fact check, but the first 2 sites I look at make you give like name, email, phone number before they give you a quote.
What's the fact for what?
Those motherfuckers.
What is it for?
Oh, here we go. Okay. All right, guys. In Austin, Texas, top production spaces to rent podcast studios. Number one, $125 in East Austin an hour. Another one's $100 an hour. Another one's $99 an hour. Another one's $300 an hour, and then there's one in historic 6th Street where it's $1,500 an hour. So that's probably partly due to location.
Do you know who Tom Segura is?
Your mom's house,
right?
There's a guy at my gym who's oh fuck, I left it on you the entire time. Oh well, there's a guy on it doesn't matter. Your point. Yes, your mom's house, Tom Segura. What about him,
dude? That's a network, correct? Because it's not just his podcast. It's like 5-6 different podcasts.
Yep.
Right? That makes your mom's house, his company, money at the end of the day. But he's got the equipment, and he's got the producers.
Right.
And he's got all that stuff, right?
He's probably the type of guy that would charge $1,500 an hour. Because, like, with me, I'd probably be the $100 an hour guy because you're getting me, who's technically not like, yes, I can run all this, but I do not have a degree in engineering or anything. Whereas, and I would be the one running it. So you would come over to my house. It would be the exact same set as DSNSB's, and I'd be your guy giving you your audio and video at the end. Whereas if you signed up for this $1,500 studio, I bet if anything, we looked at what you get out of it, you're probably going to have like a sound engineer that's on site the entire time.
Yeah.
All that the bells and whistles.
Yeah, totally. Completely it's like having a recording studio. It's like you go into a recording studio and depending on if it's 1 person, 2 people, or all the gear, you're going to be paying X amount, right? So I think like from what you have and your knowledge of podcasting, I think you could definitely turn this into something bigger. It's going to be something bigger. I'm telling you guys.
It's going to be.
It will be. I'm putting it out there right now, manifesting whatever you guys believe in. I really do think that this stuff right here and the stuff that's over at my house and everything that's going on, it's a great investment for the future. And guess what? I bet you $5, one of the people that you have talked to in podcasting probably wants to start a podcast. And on top of that, they have no idea where to start. And then that's where you go, listen, I'll help you out. If you have once you have the time.
You know what? One thing I would do, because the rent thing, yes, it could make money. You know, I could get a little bit of my investment back. One thing that I would do, that I should do, my podcast coach does a minimum of 12 sessions, so on and so forth. I wouldn't want to coach someone that long, but what I would do is like maybe like 3 1-hour calls for maybe like $99 each, total of $300 or something. And maybe you could do like 1 or 3. One call would be, I don't know if I want a podcast. I want to talk to someone who's done it. I'll pay you $100 for an hour of your time, and I will talk about whatever the fuck you want for that hour.
Yeah, right.
And maybe the 3 call package would be like, I'm 99% sure I want to start a podcast, so I'd like to do the first call. That would be basically the same. And then the second call to like make sure you're sort of on track. And then maybe the third call would be like after your first 5 episodes are released or something like that.
I would even take the time out. I wouldn't even put an hour down, because I think the problem that I have with that is that personally is that if I'm paying like $100 for an hour, all my questions might not be answered, right? I feel like 2 hours is a good amount. What I'm going to say though is that what you should do, and if this is something that you are passionate about, you should look up competitors and double the time. Because the thing is that you want to compete with some of these people, unfortunately, but whatever their standard is, you want to make sure that it's like double that, because you want to give them something that's worth their time.
So if my competitor's doing $60 for 60 minutes, you think I should do 2 hours for 60 minutes?
Yeah,
Or 2 hours for 60
sure.
bucks?
Especially with your first couple, for sure, because you wanna offer them something that they've never heard before. That's selling. At the end of the day, you wanna tell them what the facts are, but you want to give them the right amount of time. 60 minutes for $60 is $1 a minute. If you can just double that, imagine how happy that person would be that they got all their answers. They got all their questions answered in those 2 hours. It was 2 hours, but I mean, I would just try it for the first 5 people. See if it works. See if it happens.
Yeah.
Boom.
I mean, how many people? And at the end of the day, I make a little money, and I can figure out if it's something I want to continue.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like it because it'd be very easy to manage if I'm only doing one intro call to podcasting,
exactly.
2 hours, $100, whatever.
I think you could do it because you've got a very good, podcasting demeanor and whatnot. And then if they ever need any graphic design help,
Nick
hello.
Lovn.
Hey, by the way,
Where's my sweatshirt
quick.
graphic?
Whoa. Okay, so first of all,
that's what I thought he was segueing to.
This guy sent me a whole ass image that some guy used. So the graphic.
I didn't know what you were asking me.
I know. So for context for the viewers is David's been saying that he wants a graphic made for he wants sweatshirts and he wants merch and he wants like not hand drawn, but he wants really good graphics. And so I asked him what the graphics were, and they're like, if you know what the can of liquid death looks like, it looked like that. It looked like he sent me that as an example, and it was like, whoa. Okay, we're going to need an illustrator. So I'm glad we're on this topic because...
Actually, let me shout out real quick.
Yeah.
That was Hard Sell Street Punks t-shirt, and best friend Tom Barvik is the drummer for that band. That was what that shirt was. So there's a lot of bias in that image.
Yeah.
But I do think I was going to buy a shirt just to support them, but then when I showed up, I was like, oh, I'm actually more than happy to spend this $20 because it's actually a sick shirt.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And so what you're looking for, and what's great about talking to a graphic designer, is that you know what type of style you're looking for. When I asked what type of image you looked for, I'm looking for the type of style that's in your lane and what you want to look. You kind of want to have like a little punk edge to your podcast. Because the way that it's like an outline, it's kind of edgy, it's sketched a little bit. Like, it's really cool, and I like that idea. I think what we should do is, as a graphic designer, my job is to go on Adobe, Photoshop, and Illustrator and all that, right? And I can try to do that. But if I were you, I would invest some money in a really good artist who does that specifically.
On Fiverr.
Sponsor us. Sponsor us, Fiverr. Come on. Where you at, boy? Fiverr. Get your artist there. One time, no doubt. You want to know the story about Fiverr?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the story on God?
On Jesus himself. Baby Jesus with the fleece diapers. Anyway, so I had just graduated from college. It was 2019, and I was working for my first ad agency. And one of the clients that we had was this company that was basically a combination between Christmas and the ocean. Christmas by the sea.
Okay.
Shout out. By the way, the owner is wonderful. The people that worked there were very kind, very awesome. It was great. However, they had wanted me to create this custom graphic for them, right? That was like Santa in his sleigh, but it wasn't reindeer. It was seahorses, right? Wild. logo concept, right? We've come to a point where like minimalism is like the go-to, right? And so I'm trying to convince this owner, like, hey, maybe we should go for a different route. No, she was dead on.
Seahorses,
Santa, Christmas by the sea. So I made a couple of versions, and it never quite hit, right? So I got to the point where I went up to my manager, and I was like, yo, dude, I'm never going to be the graphic designer that she wants me to be. Let me find somebody on Fiverr, and we can make this work. $12 later, we got the logo. It was like a day later. We paid $12 and we got this logo, and the lady, I remember maybe like a week, 2 weeks later, I had to go to the shop to go take some photos. And she hands me this tag that's the graphic. She goes, look, it's your logo. And I'm just looking, I'm like,
you didn't tell her?
No, I was like, yup, this is my logo. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is such a nightmare. It keeps haunting me. But shout out to that artist, man, because they made it work.
What if she heard this podcast?
I love her. I don't care. She was really nice. She was awesome. And if she hears it, I'm sorry I wasn't the true creator of the... But as a graphic designer, I did size it up, and I did make sure that it was to the point of, you know... So let me say this. As a graphic designer, right, my job isn't truly to be like an illustrator. Because I think illustrator is a completely different role as a graphic designer. A graphic designer is somebody who understands kind of like all the different sizes that comes with all like the web graphics, dealing with sizing and mock-ups and t-shirt mock-ups. So like if you had a t-shirt, right, like that shirt that you're wearing that says filter on it, right? Somebody probably had just like a graphic on Photoshop, probably just put that text on there and sent it to somebody who was like, this is what I want. And they're like, okay, bet, let's go. Let's move on. So as a graphic designer, my job is to kind of stylize certain aspects of graphics, right? With like up-to-date ideologies of graphic design. So one of the big ideologies right now is like a lot of the world in graphics is stepping away from flat imagery and cartoons, and we're now using more photo image based, because apparently photos and videos, I mean, it's not apparent, it's known. Photos and videos connect more to humans because we can see humans doing things, right? That's what I learned in one of my corporate positions that I had after this Christmas by the Sea job. But it's just wild to think that graphic design is really something that moves people to do something. Propaganda, that's graphic design. That's all just like analog graphic design with print and paper. And now we're in digital design where, you know, we're talking about thumbnails and we're talking about banners and we're talking about, you know, mock-ups and stuff like that. So I think with your shirt design, we need to hire an artist. And then as a graphic designer, I take that art, put it on a shirt to show you an example, and then we send it to a printer. And then, yeah, that's that whole thing. Cut. I have to pee again. David's Saturday Night Sitback is brought to you by YouTube, Instagram, Patreon. And please, if you're listening on Spotify and Apple Music, give this 5 stars. Comment, subscribe, notification bell, do whatever to get the analytics up, all right? Because this is my friend David. He runs his podcast all by himself. He does a stellar job with it. He's got all the equipment, and he treats his guests really well. All the stories are great and fantastic. All right, we're going to get off track with this question real quick, but I need you back in the shot. Also, guys, if you're still not playing Pokemon Go in 2024, then you probably have lives. Do you have those Aussie bites?
Yeah, I do.
Can I get one of those? I didn't have dinner.
Yeah, dinner.
Brought to you by Aussie Bites.
Oh, my mic!
All right, cut that. cut that.
You know, I don't usually leave anything from the bathroom breaks in, but I heard you talking. We were chugging drinks. We're not cutting any of that.
Nope. Hell no.
Real quick, while you eat your Aussie bite, hang on to your question.
Yeah.
Because
sounds good.
You're going to be eating, and I'm showing him a segment of a music video called Token, and I thought of it because...
This guy's from Massachusetts.
Have you seen this video?
Yeah. Some of the people that I've worked with know him in person.
For some reason, it came to mind as you were talking about pictures, and I watched this video from start to finish. If you guys want to go watch it, this is Token's song, Not, K-N-O-T.
Shout out to Token, man. Boston. He's a Boston artist. He's in L.A. now. That's so funny you mentioned that. Anyway.
That video was just wild to me. I didn't know what to think. I couldn't even listen to him because I was too busy watching the dancers.
Yeah.
It was insanity.
Dude, Token's actually pretty sweet. Have
you met him?
I've never met him, but I know people who are like in his circle, which is, if that makes sense. I think the thing about artists and knowing people who are at the top is like, I think a lot of those people kind of dissociate from other artists who are trying to make it, just because they just want to make sure that nobody's kind of like clinging off their coattails. I'm gonna take one of these Aussie bites again. These are better than just one. You have to have two.
And while if you eat the whole box, I will not care.
I'm not gonna.
You are my guest. Plus, I know you have a box at home, and you can just give me some back. We went on a Costco run together the other day, and literally bought anything that was gluten free. We both bought one of, and anything non gluten free, I was the only one buying it. But yeah, this week's meals were brought to you by Costco. Sponsor me, bitches!
Dude, that was awesome, man. Thank you for letting me come to Costco with you because
sure.
Even though it wasn't Armageddon, Snowmageddon this weekend that everybody in Texas was talking about.
Yeah, the time we filmed this, it was 17 degrees out every morning.
First of all, those protein shakes that we bought for the morning, amazing. Those are fantastic.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get those. They're good?
Yeah, they're great.
Okay, great.
I read the ingredients. I was like, perfect. I don't eat vegetables. This has everything. And then on
as
top
far
of
as
that,
like vitamins or what's the vegetable replacement?
there's just all sorts of shit in there. I can't tell you.
Potassium?
Probably.
Calcium?
Yeah, probably.
Dicium? That was made up.
No dicium.
Or I think that was made up. Maybe I heard that word in a Rogan episode or something.
But I think I've been also taking. Do you take vitamins?
No, because I take Athletic Greens.
Okay, so that's your vitamin, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because it's like all the nutrition in there. I've been taking a 1-a-day men's pro cut. I don't know. I've been taking a vitamin and I feel like it's been really helping me feel better and more awake and I don't know. I don't feel fainty.
But you've also been doing a lot of different things. Like you've been experimenting with let's not drink for a couple weeks. Let's not smoke for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
You are working full time again. So
totally.
I think that, yes, I have a hard time thinking. I could be totally wrong here.
It's okay. Listen, this is your podcast. Say your mind. Speak your mind. Let's talk about it.
I just wonder if a vitamin, yes, it's good for you, but are you going to feel any different? So let's say you're not taking vitamins at all. You're that person. And then you buy a vitamin, a once-a-day vitamin, and you start taking it every morning religiously. 60, 90, 120 days, 200 days into it. I don't know. I feel like vitamins are health for the things they don't see. They're going to keep our blood healthy. They're going to keep our brain functioning.
Yeah.
They're going to keep good eyesight. But as far as how do I feel today? That's more did I get a good night's sleep last night? Did it make it to the gym yesterday?
Yeah.
Am I hydrated?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's any one thing. I think that you've just been proactively looking at your life for the last year, and you're analyzing what makes me feel better and what doesn't, and you're cutting out some of the shit that doesn't make you feel better.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's hard. It definitely is hard to cut back on things that you're very accustomed to. It's tough. Today, I mean, for instance, I bought a 3-pound bag of chips and salsa.
That's so many chips.
Yeah, that's a lot of chips.
Oh, is that bag?
Yeah,
That's like 3 pounds.
It's 3. If you look at it, it says 3 pounds
That
of
thing's
chips.
3 libs?
It's 3 libs of.
We should have just split that shit.
I know, dude.
As soon as you picked it up and it felt like weight.
And it gave me an excuse to have chips and salsa for lunch every day this week because I got gluten-free bread and I'm eating like sandwiches. So I'm like having ham
You've
sandwiches.
Been in heaven this week,
Oh
haven't you?
man, Costco,
Food-wise?
Costco fucking helped me this week, man.
So obviously tortilla chips you can get at HEB, but like the bread and the Aussie, well, I know they don't have Aussie bites,
Dude.
but like the protein shakes, was a lot of that stuff specific to Costco that you haven't been able to find anywhere else?
I mean, I'm sure you can find a protein shake at HEB, but like, I don't know. Costco had like the big amount. It makes it worth it, I feel, in my opinion. Like, makes it worth buying in bulk, even if I'm not a big family, right? I don't think Dee, who's my partner, my girlfriend, by the way, shout out to Dee and Dusty, my dog. I don't know if she'll ever drink it. So now I have like, 30, 25 shakes for like the next couple of weeks, and now I don't need to like worry about making food in the morning. I can just take that and my vitamin, and the vitamin and that is going to have all of my nutrition for all the day.
For the morning.
Now, granted, vitamins, right? To your point, right? What are they truly doing? Because you probably just end up pissing it out anyway, right?
No, I don't know.
No,
I
read
think
online.
your system digests that.
Okay. Well, I think just personally, just the way that I used to eat food, never used to eat like fruits and veggies like on the daily. So having something that's a protein shake that has some of those nutrients, having also a pill that has those nutrients, and also changing my diet habit, like making Brussels sprouts for the week, right? I only work 3 times a week because I'm, hybrid work from home, 2 days out of the week, but preparing my foods, right? Making sure that I'm preparing the night before. That's like not shit food and it's good food, like chicken and Brussels sprouts.
Right.
That's a great lunch, right?
Not
So
a lot
glad
of
to have
carbs,
that.
But
Well,
does that fill you up? That's good for you?
Well, it gets me hungrier a little later, and then I like to snack. I love food, man. When I had a stomach problem, I was so sad. I got depressed because I used to eat so much food, man. Food is like so good. I love food.
I love food too.
Yeah, right? Who hates food? Shout out my mom, but my mom once told me that she would rather die of starvation than be full. And I was like, that's really sad. Why would you say that to me? I'm your son. Eat something. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. What were you going to say?
Is that I heard a local comedian here in Austin say that one thing that they like about where the state of the world is that comedy is dangerous again. And what they meant by that is, for example, I just made that joke. Actually, let me give this as an example instead. I made a joke in Mitch's episode that went live this week about smacking special needs kids. It was hilarious. It got him laughing. And I think it was his highest viewed short of the week on all the 3 social media platforms we post on. And then there is one girl who is like, not a girl, a lady, excuse me, or maybe she's a lay. She looks like a woman on her TikTok. See, like this is also what I hate about this culture right now is like I get fucked when I'm just trying to talk. Anyways, they, her, you. So she went on there and she made a comment and she was like, what did I do to offend the gods of algorithms so bad that I had to be subjected to seeing 2 white men talking about beating a special needs kids?
Oh, boo-hoo. That's called the internet, bro. Anybody can be doing anything at any time, at anywhere, saying anything at all. So get over it.
But my point is, and I said, I think my reply was like, sounds like you did something right. And then I put a laughing emoji.
Yeah, right.
But it proves that comedian's point is that comedy right now, anyone who watched the full clip without even knowing who I am and my values and my ethics, they could watch that clip. And if you're a logical person at all, know like, was that dark? Yeah. Do I think it's funny? No. But is it bad? Like, does that make him a bad person where I should comment on this and shit on him? No, he made a joke. I don't think it's funny, but I'm moving on to the next reel.
Yeah, I think it comes down to like much context was put into that clip beforehand.
It was like 44 seconds, so not much. And the part about the slap was at like second 38. So you had a little bit of a build up. It definitely wasn't like start clip. I beat special needs kid. No, there's about 35 seconds of context first. But I think that for me makes me very happy for comedians, or even for people like me who have a dark sense of humor, that because everyone is so sensitive, comedy is dangerous and it is edgy, because you're going to have 50% of people who are going to be your biggest fan and think you're hilarious, and they're going to come to your shows and listen to your podcast, and they're going to laugh with you and enjoy life. And then you're going to have the other rest of the crowd of the people who are going to be super woke and be like, boo you, I hate that, I just heard that.
Yeah, well, I think it comes down to like where you view that content, because truly it depends on how accessible these platforms are, right? So for instance, I think a lot of these, and I agree with you, I think like the thing about comedy is that it's like fair game, right? Like sometimes what people don't think is right is like fine, and it's fine. Like I think comedy is like, it should be open. Like you should say whatever you want, you should do whatever you want, maybe to the like it's not super offensive and it's not super like crazy, but if you can, a lot of people take things out of context is I guess what I'm trying to get at, is like I think people love to just jump into the conversation halfway and try to build a narrative that has nothing to do with what the context is, based upon a 1 minute TikTok that you tried to make just to promote the show. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, she gave you analytics. She commented on it. She gave you a view. And just because she said something, she gave you a little paragraph about how she felt about it. I mean, I still think you won at the end of the day. What? Comedy is cool. And I also think it's like, it depends on where it goes, right? Because if you bring your comedy special to Netflix, right, you're getting a high demand of people who have the capability to pay for that platform, right? Do you have a Netflix account?
Yeah, of course.
You pay for it?
No.
I don't. Okay, so you use like a family account?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have that, so I don't pay for it. And I just canceled my Hulu subscription because all of these shows are now being so independent that they're choosing which network they want to be on now, right? Like if you want to watch a season of this show, you're going to have to go over to Tubi. But if you want to go watch the next season, it might be on Netflix. But that's like the next 3 seasons. But then if you want to go and watch it over here, you got to watch it on You understand what I'm saying? I think like comedy is good when it's like on YouTube. I feel like, I don't know. I just went on a different tangent there. But I think like comedy is dangerous, but also it's kind of like, if it makes people laugh, why not say it?
Well, that's the thing, is the post. So the post, I think, ended up, the last time I checked on it, which was responding to her comment, was like 1.6 thousand views, 1,600 views, excuse me, 76 likes and 1 comment, and it was hers. So I doubt those 76 people who liked the post were like judging it. Why would you like something that you're judging? So again, it's not about the numbers. My takeaway from the views is, my whole thing is, when I'm creating clips, I want to create a clip that will go wide so that 1,600 people that didn't know about the show yesterday know about it today. That's my only objective.
Yeah.
The fact that it got 76 likes means that there were 76 people out of those 1,600 who totally got that was a joke, and they also found it funny. And then you have the one person who just completely missed what the point of everything was.
I think you'll always get that, though. I think that's like, it's just typical at this point. Right, because you're always going to have somebody on both sides of the fence. Somebody who's just like a troll, and somebody who's like social justice warrior-esque.
Yeah.
I want to give them a better name. I feel like social justice warrior is such a negative connotation. Somebody who's like,
well, the other
PC.
thing too is, I feel like warrior has some positive connotations to it. Like, warriors are people that we look up to, that we admire, that defend their family, they defend their country, they defend the things they believe for, whether it's on a battlefield or on a podcast, whatever it is. So if she would be considered a social justice warrior, that term definitely needs to change.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like even being a warrior is like a little bit of an over exaggeration to the term. Cause like, do you really need to be that guy in the battlefield who's like, ah! Like, obviously you look at somebody who screams in the middle of like anywhere and you're like, that guy's fucking crazy, right? Like, you don't need to be a warrior, so to say, but you could be somebody who stands up for what you believe in, but you don't have to be so like outgoing about it, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes people love to put their warriorness in their personality, and it like shows in their attitude about things. Do you think being a warrior could be toxic?
If it means that,
like, I think like being a warrior could mean two things, right? To your point, like a warrior can be somebody who is very triumphant, somebody who sets goals and doesn't give a fuck, just keeps going. But then there are some people who claim that they're warriors. Like, do you know who? Oh man, who's that influencer who got caught with steroids? Who eats meat?
which one?
The guy who's like,
Oh,
you tribal.
The meat.
You know what I'm talking
Not
about?
Tiger King. Fuck.
Liver King.
Thank you.
Liver King.
Yeah.
Dude, you could call him a warrior, but then you look at his trajectory and you're like, all right, bro. You tried, man. Like, is he truly a warrior?
So, warrior is defined by the Oxford Dictionary.
Oxford.
Is an experienced soldier or fighter. So if you take that word experienced, if I was to go online every day and spend 2 hours, can you, sorry, I'm gonna lose my train of thought. There's Aussie bites all over the chair. Can you just give it a little wipe?
No. Yes.
I'm looking up the rest of this episode.
Oh, that.
Don't do that. That's mean.
Oh, he'll be here soon.
Yeah, well, potentially not for an hour and a half.
Yeah, you're right. I do have to pee again.
Shut up. You had a question from me when you came back from your last bathroom break that you haven't even asked me yet. Do you know what it was?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
And when I go to the bathroom, I'm gonna figure. I know what it is.
So you will answer that one when we come back.
Yep.
But I guess I will just wrap up that if you take that definition literally, that if I was to go online 2 hours a day, 7 days a week for 2 years, and I'm just leaving nasty comments all over the place about how bad this post is and that comment is and that podcast is, technically, by the end of that 2 years, I am experienced at what I am doing. So I guess I stand corrected, and that if she is just spending hours and days looking for things online that are considered quote unquote wrong in 2024, she is a warrior of some type.
A warrior. Keyboard warrior. Using those keys to fight. That's all good, though.
All right, do you want to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, you're going to take a shot at Captain Morgan?
I will when you're back. I'm not going to do it alone.
Okay.
Do you want another truly, or are you good?
No, I'm good.
He's stopping,
you know
guys.
what I want.
Oh, I do know what he wants.
All right. My question may get cut out.
Hang on.
That's okay. That's okay. It's
all right,
rum. All
we're,
right,
we're
cool.
back, everyone.
We're back. So Dave has said that he is going to take a shot of rum.
Oh, sure. And I feel like I did have dinner, but wasn't a big dinner.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is going to hit the belly a little bit different. And by different, I mean like when you're not full.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's no carbs in my meal either. That was very meat.
What'd you eat?
Oh, no, there's rice. Chicken, rice, and egg rolls.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
so there's carbs in there. Both. All right, here we go.
Dang.
I haven't had a shot since Danny was over.
Shout out, Danny. Come
Right?
back.
Let
Come
me
back to
think.
the podcast.
Oh, no, actually, me and Tom took one.
And Tom.
Man, I should get royalty for how much I talk about that fucker. I don't even like him.
Are we still in the talks of like the 50th show episode?
So interesting thing that happened, and I'm still like getting ready to take the shot. Is I had 2 episodes where Descript right now is apparently getting. I don't think it's just me. I submitted a ticket because the audio will not play. It's there, so the file is there, and I have the backup on the Rodecaster.
Oh wow.
But even when I bring in the backup audio file and import it and tell Descript to use this one instead, it says, no way, Jose.
We're going to have to switch you over to something else.
We really do.
Yeah.
So that's happening with 2 episodes.
Damn.
And then I have the one with the guy you met for a couple minutes. And then the one I was going to release, I hit this individual up, and he is going through a really rough time in life and asked me to essentially archive the episode. So of the 4 episodes I have, I only have one that I can fuck with.
Man.
So it's funny because yours might be the quickest to ever release after recording. It might go out this Saturday.
Awesome. Let's go.
Because his is 3 hours long, and I don't know if I have the time to do that. It's Wednesday night tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have 3 hours of bandwidth.
Yeah, no, you're about to take a shot of rum.
Right. And I'm recording on Friday, and I work on Friday, so
Nice.
all my editing time is only... I could have technically edited tonight, but now I'm getting drunk. So I could edit tomorrow night. Tomorrow might be like a 1 a.m. editing kind of night. Hopefully not. But I just bring all that up to say that's fucking podcasting, you know?
Yeah.
I couldn't get anybody to record in December except Jackson Scruggs. Shout out Jackson.
Yeah, this is what I was saying before, guys. When he was taking a break, I was saying that this guy is doing it all by him very self, and he's got all this gear, and he's taking a shot. He's celebrating. He's excited, and dealing with guests, I'm sure, is just another part of the game. That's why he's good at it, because he's a recruiter himself. So, dude, shout out to you, David. The podcast is sick, man. I think this is awesome.
Thank you.
This is great. Now,
in case anyone hasn't told you today, you're very handsome.
thank you.
You're
Thank you. I
welcome.
appreciate that.
Yep.
So, you're very handsome yourself, too.
Thank
I
you.
feel like I'm bad with compliments. I don't hand out compliment after I've been complimented, so I need to start doing that, too.
I don't think you need to unless it's genuine. And you've paid me like 17 compliments about the podcast tonight, so it's not like you haven't been complimenting me.
Boom. All right. This might get cut out if you don't want to tell anybody. What is the 1,000 star initiative? And why do you need to invite one person?
I need to take that sticky note down.
Oh,
It won't get cut out. When the podcast launched on April 1st, I put a series of, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think about 9 sticky notes on the mirror. And one of them is called the 1,000 Star Initiative. And the 1,000 Star Initiative was that by December 31st of 2023, I would have 100 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, which would have been 500 stars, and 100 5-star reviews on Spotify, which would have been another 500 stars.
Yeah.
Called the 1,000 Star Initiative. But in every episode, somewhere in the episode, I was talking about, especially when the podcast first started, in April and May, when the first I guess what would that have been? 6 plus another 3. So when about the first 13 episodes came out, give or take, truly nobody was listening. No likes on social media, no views on YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
The full episodes were getting downloaded by me and the guest. Literally nobody was listening. And I got so discouraged that I felt like I set a goal that was just unrealistic. And I stopped talking about it.
yeah.
So I brought it up in those early episodes. I was like, be part of the 1,000 Star Initiative. Go leave a 5-star review. We only need 100 people. That's it. 100 people. And then I'd see like Jake's episode got 3 downloads. Tim's episode got 5 downloads.
Yeah. Hitting that high expectation.
What's interesting, and I don't care about this from a review, the 5-star perspectives, but as the podcast has grown, I get a report. The only number that I look at every day once a week, I get a report from the audio channels only. YouTube doesn't do this for me. I wish they did, but they don't. And it shows me the top 3 downloaded episodes and like what episodes started picking up traction again. And I can tell the audience is growing because people have been going back. And so like Tim's episode, shout out Tim Houseman. I love you, man. And we're due for a workout.
Love you, dude.
his episode got like 10 or 20 downloads or something like that. And then I went and looked at it the other day and it had a few hundred. And I was like, where the fuck did those go?
Wow.
And I haven't looked at it in so long because it's so far down on the list now. It's like episode 4.
Yeah.
I never scroll all the way down there.
That's the thing about content too, is like, as long as it's still there, it's still going to gain no matter what.
Well, and it makes a ton of sense because going back to Diary of a CEO, and I'm bringing him up a lot tonight because I do admire him and he has a great show and people should go listen. I do the exact, sometimes when I listen, I won't listen to the new episode. I'll literally just like scroll for like 4 or 5 thumb raises because I want to see like who were some people he had on like a year ago.
Yeah.
Who was he talking to during COVID? Was he even in the studio during COVID? So it makes sense that people are doing the same for me, that they came on because maybe it was your friend Austin or Nick 9 or whoever.
Yeah.
We have a joke where he has so many Nicks. I've now just dubbed
Shout
them all
out
Nick 2,
all the
Nick
Nicks
3,
I know.
Nick 4. So I think it's probably people like that who loved your episode so much they thought, I'm gonna listen to one more.
Yeah.
Let's scroll. And then they see, oh, Tim Houseman on gym etiquette. 10 questions about gym etiquette. I work out. Let's see what these 10 questions are. And then they hit play.
Yeah.
Makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Why'd you think that was gonna get cut out?
I just didn't know if it was like a
gay thing?
No, I was actually thinking a religious thing. Had nothing to do with
Because you know I have
sex.
a Christian background.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I feel like when you hear something like an initiative, like you think that there is some sort of cause behind it, right? Like
Maybe something culty.
yeah, sure. Culty, not religion. I mean,
Initiative.
I don't know. The initiative is like doing something without having to ask other people to do it first. Outcome dependency, right? It's like, so I just wanted to know like what was this leadership
I need to take
thing
it,
that
I
you
need to
wanna
take
do.
it down because that was very specific for 2023 and something I'm not. I'm obviously laser focused on still getting reviews and subs and views and blah 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 blah. But that sticky note needs to come down. The other 9 are all still relevant.
Do you ask your guests to put a 5-star review after they leave?
Do you remember the form?
Yeah. But you have to do it in person.
I'm too chicken shit. I'm scared.
Why?
I don't know.
What's so scary about it? You've talked to them for like 3 hours. You can't ask them a question in 30 seconds. Hey, can you give a 5-star? You literally take their phone and be like, I could do it myself. Just let me do it.
I would say I'll start with you, but I already.
You want to do it?
No, I already did it.
We can do
Barnes
like a
and
couple
Noble?
more. Yeah, we can do a couple more though.
No, I literally did everything in Barnes and Noble. There's nothing else to review.
No wonder you guys were. No wonder the podcast was in my algorithm at the end of the year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Makes sense.
I was like the top 0.6% listeners. That was awesome.
No, I should. I guess I don't know why I think it's I feel bad. There's a weakness. I feel bad asking for help and asking for things purely for me, but it's not for me because I've said it a million times. It's for the listener that needs to hear so-and-so's episode.
Well, earlier in the conversation, we were talking about these like people who are literally asking for money to get your podcast.
I feel like them.
Well, the thing is you shouldn't. That's what I'm trying to say is I think you should look at yourself as like a better version of that. That's way better.
I don't want to be any version of that.
Yeah, but that's more But dude, if you had a restaurant and like you had food and people liked your food but weren't leaving reviews, you would go up to them and ask them to give your place reviews, right? Like, I think that's as organic as it's gonna get, because honestly, like the way that organic content is, some of their contemporaries in the podcasting space, they go out and they talk to people, right? You can say that that's just as crazy as asking people to pay $500 to get their shit onto the top. So I think it's a lighter version than that. So if you just think about it that way.
So here's your second or no third. I think we're up to our third prompt of what you could leave a comment on, specifically on YouTube. Even if you listened on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, jump over to YouTube real quick and comment on how do you feel about my fear of asking guests at the end of the episode once we turn off the record button. Did you have a fun time today? You did? Oh, you enjoyed it? Fuck yeah, man. Would you mind if I just borrow your phone? I'll do it for you.
I wouldn't even say that. I would probably be like, hey man, do you like the podcast? And they'd be like, yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, they just got off of the podcast and they had a good time. Maybe you do it to the people you know had a good time.
All of them.
All of them. So
I can say with 99.9% confidence that no one to this point, including the one episode not released, that anyone had a bad time.
Well, I bet you $5 that your contemporaries that are going out there and talking to people are literally doing exactly what I'm saying right now. Is just telling people to like all their shit. And that's how they get into the algorithm. That's how they get all the likes. That's how they get all that stuff. Now, I'm not trying to compare you to them and say, hey, you know, you're at this level, they're at that. No, it's different, but...
Well, and I'm also never going to do that. You could get me to start... If your challenge to me in 2024 was, David, you need to be asking 9 out of your 10 guests for a review in person, you could get me to do that.
Yeah.
If you were to say, hey, David, I want you to buy 2 lapel mics, one for you, one for whoever stranger you're going to talk to, and every Friday night, go out to somewhere in Austin and do live mini episodes.
Do some hooligan stuff.
I'd be like, dude, no.
Yeah, no way. You know Airbnb, right?
No.
Well then, next. No,
I'm gonna be unstarring your podcast.
Yeah, but like, do you leave reviews after your stay at Airbnb? At Airbnbs?
It's been so long. So I leave reviews for like my DoorDashers and my Uber drivers.
Well, those reviews, right? Like those really help you decide whether a place is good or not, right?
Why are we clipping right now?
I don't know.
All right, should we just ignore it?
Just ignore it.
Moving on.
Who cares? I was gonna say an Airbnb comment really helps me feel relieved when it comes to finding a good Airbnb that I want to stay at. So I think the more you ask people who trust you and like your podcast and like the conversation they're having, I think that's not really too much to ask for, because you're not getting any money in return, and you're not paying them any money.
Here's how little money I'm getting. I heard a statistic that for every 100,000 downloads, 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I believe it.
I think it was it started with a 5, and it was not 5,000. I think it was you at most might get $500.
Yeah.
So I really am truly not asking for your money and asking for a 5-star review.
No.
It takes, what was I going to say? I'm just looking for you to help to add some credibility to the show.
Yeah.
So that when someone goes, regardless of where they pull it up, and they see that there's 205 star reviews, just like you and Airbnb, they're like, oh, all right, maybe I'll give it a listen.
Yeah, right. I think that's not too much to ask for. If you think about it in that way, I think you'll probably be better off. You should do that the next person you get.
Friday.
Laura,
Shout out Friday. Laura Ollinger. She's a teen coach. I can't wait.
A teen coach?
So she helps teens with her ideal client is a depressed teen who's just like anxious and depressed and has family drama.
That's great.
All in their feels. And we're going to start the episode doing about, I have no idea how long it will take, but we're going to start the episode talking about why she got into the field she is. Like many of the guests tell her story, but then we're going to make sure that the story does end at like a reasonable time, like 40, 50, 60 minutes in. Because I told her this is almost like my gift to the teens of Austin. All the teenagers I've met at the various Gold gyms and the ones who have trusted me with things that are going on at home and just all the different things I've heard from teens in the city about shit they're going through that really breaks my heart. I wanted to give them a gift. So this episode, I told her our mission, our purpose is very specific. I want to talk about your success clients and what made them successful, your clients that weren't a success and what pitfalls can we look for. Let's give them some tools about things that they can use when they have alcoholic parents and they have divorced parents and they're getting made fun of at school. And let's just give them like a 3-hour episode where they can go and escape all that bullshit for a couple of hours and get out of that episode thinking,
excuse me,
that there's hope that I can navigate the messiness of being human.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
That sounds great, because I think it's definitely tough when you're a teen, because you're surrounded by people who are either like teachers or adult figures, and you want to experiment as a teen with different things, because there's a lot of adult like concepts that are out there that you're like, oh, maybe you want to do that, or maybe you feel like you're not good enough to do that, or you get cut from a sports team, or you're not doing too hot with your mental health, or you don't get girls, or you do get girls, and like it's just like everything.
Or guys,
right?
For the girls or the gay dudes.
Yeah, for the gays
and the girls
and the lesbians. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, and if you do want to cut this out, we can, but I'll ask it in a way that's sort of generic. Do you think kids now, because you're a little younger than I am, and I'm going to ask Laura a similar question.
Yeah, that's okay.
Because she's older than both of us.
Yeah.
Do you think teens now have more access to drugs, alcohol, porn? Porn's an obvious one. I don't have to ask you, because we all got these little things right here.
Yep.
Anyone can go on their iPhone and type in pornhub.com. So porn is an obvious answer.
Sponsor us.
When I was growing up, I lived a very sheltered life, in the sense that I went to a 300-person high school that was a Christian high school, and all of us were very straight-laced, and alcohol, and we didn't even know what drugs were. We thought drugs were vitamins, marijuana, what's that? So I feel like I grew up on this one weird end of the spectrum. We've never talked about what your high school life was like, so I have no idea if you went to a private school, a public school, any like that.
Yeah.
But as you're someone who's a couple years younger than I am, and I don't know if you have any teenagers in your life, but is access to things like drugs and alcohol easier for teens now than it was for you when you were in high school?
Well, I think it depends on the location of where these teens are, because from what I know and where you are, where you grew up, you're Sacramento, right?
Northern Cali.
Northern Cal. You're on the coast, right?
3 hours.
3 hours from the coast. Either or. Like, it sounded pretty like, I mean, obviously, your parents were fine with you being there and going to school there, and like you got along mostly with the people that you went to school with, right? It was, but the community there might have been better than like other communities around that town.
I will straight up and say it, that it was a very well-off neighborhood with middle class or more, and that it was looking back on it, it was a hub where all the rich parents' kids went.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was really a religious thing. I think it was like, let's get all of our kids away from the public school system.
Now, there's definitely like different pits in different areas that have more darker concepts and more heavier drugs. I will say weed and alcohol, I think that's just like a no-brainer in life. You're going to find yourself talking to people who are into weed or into drinking alcohol at a young age. I think that's just whatever. Like, that happens, right? Now, for me, I was never one of those guys, because like I had a guilty conscience with my parents. I guess I was just like raised on guilt and fear.
For better or
and
for worse.
So like I was like, I just wasn't about it until I was fed up, and then I was ready to explore more of myself when it came to like smoking and drinking. However, I think it depends on like where you live, because if you're more in like a crazier city environment and all you know is like drugs and alcohol and like abuse and stuff like that, you can that's your personality at that point, right? Like you can't really escape that, because that's all you know.
I've heard of cities where the divide is almost insanity, where you have a zip code where it's a neighborhood like I just defined, and then you can almost literally cross the street, and on the other side of that street is poverty and dealers on the street, and so I think
that's a way of life too, right?
So,
like that's like a culture that is ingrained in society, is that like there's like this trap culture where selling drugs and doing drugs and like being, whatever, like being tough is like all you need that to survive, right? where me and you, we probably got coddled a little bit.
A lot of it.
A lot of it. And like we grew up on good morals, and like the YMCA would come to our school and sing and dance, and we'd be like, what is this? Why are these 40-something-year-olds doing this for us 8-year-old kids?
It sounds so ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. By the way, the context is that we were talking to this guy. He was around, let's just say he was like definitely Gen Z. And he was telling us about like his middle school and high school experience. And I kind of looked over at David and I was like, he probably doesn't understand the concept of like when the YMCA would come to your school and start dancing and singing for you about their like morals, right? And David knew exactly what I was talking about. And the Gen Z guy he had no idea. We were like, holy moly.
Well, do you remember when he tell us, he was like, I found out a month ago that wasn't just, that's an acronym.
Yeah, right. He was like, I didn't even know it was Young Men's
Christian Association. He thought it was and I asked him, I was like, you thought it was just like Yumka?
Yeah, it was just the song. He just knows the song.
Why? All right, so instead of asking you to pontificate on all high schoolers throughout all of the U.S., because that is not what you are a subject matter master in, let me ask you this, and for the audience too. Where did you grow up, city and state?
So I grew up in Stonington, Connecticut. And
is that also where you went to high school?
I went to high school at Stonington High. Yeah. Stonington High School. So Stonington is weird. I feel like Stonington is the halfway point between Pawcatuck, Connecticut and Mystic, Connecticut, but they kind of put them together, if that makes sense. So Pawcatuck and Mystic is, I feel, still considered Stonington, Connecticut. Now, I originally started on the Mystic side of things. I did end up moving once and went to the Pawcatuck side, and then I went back to Mystic because that's just like where all my friends were. But at the end of the day, so I went to Dean's Mill, I went to Mystic Middle School, and then I went to Stonington High School, and then people who lived in Pawcatuck went to West Vine, West Broad, Pawcatuck Middle School, and then went to Stonington High School. So we would all eventually meet up in high school. Yeah.
And what was your high school like?
My high school...
Was it a public school?
Yeah, it was public. It was 4 grades.
You remember like hundreds of kids, thousands? What was the size? If you had to guess, rough ballpark.
It was probably around like 400 to 500 kids.
Between all 4 grades?
Yeah, between all 4 grades.
Oh, so this is your school was only 100 kids bigger than mine.
Yeah, it wasn't. There were smaller schools too. There were like real private schools that would only have like 14 kids per grade. So like, yeah, I know, right? That's crazy. Think about that, being with the same 14 kids for like 12 years.
No, thanks.
No,
you may as well
I'm
just
good.
be homeschooled at that point.
Pass. So, yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Your mom is your instructor, teacher,
professor.
But hey, you know what? If you learn from homeschooling, good for you. I think that's pretty cool too. Anyway, yeah, my school was about like 400, 500 kids. Maybe around like 130 would graduate per year. Wasn't that big. My dad actually went to a bigger school that was almost like the size of a community college. It was like thousands of kids. So I went to a pretty, I think, reasonably sized high school. I know there's high schools that are way bigger, but that's just due to the area.
So my parents finally let me go to the local public school my senior year. It was the best year of my high school. And that school, my graduating class was 800.
So did you like go to public school and then go to private school and then go back to public school? Like, did you know?
So I was in private school, K through 2nd, homeschooled 3rd through 7th.
Wow.
Private school 8th through junior, public school for the first time senior year.
Dude, can I tell you something?
Sure.
You should go back to college just to like live it. Like you should go live in the dorms.
I'm good.
No, you should.
I'm too old.
No, you should. No, yeah.
I just told you I'm averaging a shot a month these days in life right now. Like
you'd be drinking more in the dorm. I'll tell you what.
Well, yeah, all the freshmen at my gym that just got back from that were also they all joined fraternity, so they were all rushing the entire semester.
Nice.
So they were all jacked when they left, and then when they got back for Christmas break, they all lost like 20 pounds of muscle each because they between school, rushing their fraternities, the drinking, not having time to meal prep, living on their own for the first time, not knowing how to meal prep.
Were they rushing or were they pledging?
Pledging, thank you.
Wait, so they were maybe this is something for me to ask because I wasn't allowed to do this. Well, actually, I was allowed to do it. Other students who in their freshman year weren't allowed to pledge a fraternity their first semester of school.
I wonder if it's a school-by-school basis.
It probably is.
Yeah.
Because all Greek lives are a little different around all the areas. Plus, we're in the South, baby.
Yeah,
they're like, sign these fuckers up.
You're talking about now. Now we're in this. Yeah. So, yes.
They're like, sign these kids up.
We're more than 10 minutes past in, so we can
more,
curse all we want.
Yeah.
Expletives. So
that's actually
let me
really
ask
funny.
you a question just about your high school, and I'm curious since it was public, but the same size as my private school. Do you remember a lot of your colleagues drinking weed? Was that very big in your high school and amongst your friends?
Not a lot. I think like we knew some people who were recreational when it came to like drugs.
Jennifer Frierson. I just did the same thing at the same time.
She owes me $15. Jen. No, just kidding. I don't need these. Yeah, I think there was like a certain group of people that we knew were like a little bit stonery. And then we knew that like some people like to go out. I was never really invited to parties because I wasn't really popular. And I really just like did my own thing at the end of the day.
Not to interrupt you, but can you define what you mean by that? What do you mean by you did your own thing?
I think like I think in high school, the one thing I didn't really do well and good at was like networking with a lot of the students there. And not to say that I wanted to like network to gain any business or anything like that, but I just felt like everybody was getting really edgier and they were like being a lot more sarcastic and they were like being rude. And for me, I just didn't want to take it. And so I was like, all right, I think I'm just going to mask this out and get a girlfriend. So I had a girlfriend for like my last year of high school. And then I went to community college and a lot changed. I'll tell you what.
To the best of your memory, when you were graduating high school, we have this weird expectation of our 18-year-olds in the U.S. that you should know exactly what you want to do with your life. And dude, I feel like I didn't figure out what I wanted to do with my life until I started podcasting. So it took me till I was 35 years old to be like, yes, this is what I want to do. Turn it into a business. At 18, did you have that pressure from either of your parents? What?
No, I think the pressure was on me. I think talk about high expectation goals, right? I think like when I was a kid, I like expected myself to be this like rock star. I really wanted to be a
You mean literally, right?
Yeah,
in
literally.
the music industry.
Yep, I wanted to be in the music industry. I wanted to have my own band. I wanted to play on tours. I wanted to be on the Warped Tour, but I didn't really have any of that. I didn't really have a lot of like bands and I didn't really have a lot of experience in that culture. So it was like a crazy goal to have. And so it really wasn't real. So every time I would like talk to my parents about it, I mean, they would support me in the goals where they would help me get like some equipment and like I would, have fun and do that. But I think what ended up happening was I found out that all of like the kids I went to school with, they were going to colleges. They were going to like 4-year schools. And my parents wanted me to go do something. So I went to community college. Luckily, the government helped me out. It was like pretty much all free. It was pretty dope with FAFSA. I highly recommend signing up with FAFSA. Please do yourself a favor. I know it's paperwork.
Yeah, if you're going to school, I agree.
But do FAFSA because you might even get some money back and you can spend that on whatever you want. But don't tell them I said that. Then I went to school and I took some graphic design courses. So in high school, I took some media and production courses. And a lot of this is part of that education of production. Like we would do like, we called it the BBC, which was like the Bears broadcasting, big black.
Don't say
broadcasting. That would be BBBC. No, we were so Stonington Bears So we were the Bears. So we were the Bears broadcasting. And so we would do live shows to the school about the news. And so a lot of that was like sound equipment, video boards, computer tech, all that stuff. And so there were also some design courses and some photography classes that I took. The next thing you know, I'm in community college. I'm taking all the core classes. I'm like, I mean, I had to take them, right? And I did better in college than I did in high school because I felt like I paid more attention. Like I knew that there was something on the line. But then I took this like intro to graphic design course, right? And so I was asked to do this assignment I'll tell you 2 assignments. One assignment was to create your name in graphic design. And I was like, I want to change my name. Like I know that.
Why?
Because I'm going to say this. As a musician, some people choose stage names. They like to have different monikers because they don't want to put their last name out there or whatever, right? Like a couple I can say is there's this band called Motionless in White. They're like a metalcore band back in 2010s to 2020s. They still tour, but the main singer is named Chris Motionless. Now Motionless isn't his last name. That's his band name is Motionless in White. Right. So to me, I was like, I really like that concept. I'm going to roll with it. What can I use my name for? Well, everybody growing up would say my last name, Saint Amour, meant Saint of Love. And so Nick, and I was like thinking of Superbad. I don't know why. And I just thought Nick Lovn. I was like, that's kind of sick. Like, I was like, I should run with that. So I ran with it. Teacher liked it. It was good. And then the next assignment was to create a menu for like an Italian pizza company. And my company was called...
I don't even know what it is. We've never talked about this.
All right. I don't know if this is going to be in here. Jesus Christ. I swear to God, it was called Jesus Christ.
That's staying in.
And so the design teacher actually came up to me and he said, man, that made me laugh so hard. Graphic design makes me laugh. You would do really good at it. Do you want to do the associate's program? And at that point, I was like, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I didn't know where to go. I didn't want to do history. I didn't want to do English. I didn't want to do math. I was cool being on a computer, learning Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. And that's what I did for like 2 years. And then I transferred to a private college.
I'm going to backpedal a little bit before we get too much further. You are an only child.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember any time at all in your childhood or even in college or high school, did you ever ask your parents to have another kid?
Oh, dude, of course. I was thinking about that the other day. I would drill my mom being like, I want a little brother. And then I think about it and I was like, why did I ask for that? I don't know. I guess maybe I wanted like a friend to hang out with, but I don't know if that's what. As I get older and I started to date people with siblings, I don't think that was something you got with siblings. It's like you got a friend, but I don't think you got like a ride or die. You got somebody who would narc on you.
What I will say real quick, and to give you guys some context, me and Nick, we walk our dogs together. We go shopping together. So we have spent hours together. And I have talked some shit about my family because of current events that went down.
By the way, David's family, you should be super proud of him because he's killing it. And y'all seem really tight. So...
And I hope I've told you some good stories too. But in case I haven't, here's one. Is that they had my oldest sister, Melissa, and then 3.5 years or so later, they had my older brother, Mark. And then about 3.5 years later, they had me. And then they waited 15 years to have my younger 2 sisters. And there is 3 miscarriages in there, unfortunately. So there probably would have been less of a gap. Obviously, not probably. There would have been.
Real quick. What's really funny is that, like, I think when we first started talking as friends, we were like hanging out. He would be like, "Yeah, I don't know why they had so many kids." And I remember I was like, "I know why." He goes, "Why?" I said, "'Cause they were horny."
Because there's some truth to it.
Yeah, I'm not wrong.
Sure. I mean, I've never asked them. I
You
won't
don't need
ever
to.
ask them.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
So anyways, I would just bring this up to say that for me and Mark and Melissa, when we were growing up with just the three of us, that was a very happy time of life. When I think about like all this stuff, we had this thing that we created called the Animal Protection Patrol.
Sweet.
And we would literally just like run around the neighborhood with Nerf guns, making sure no one was abusing stray animals. Who does that? What kid does that? Running around with Nerf guns.
Are you hurting animals?
If we see this adult abusing this cat, we're gonna be like, "Hey, fucker! Bam, bam, bam!"
Dude,
May Satan drag you down to hell this Sunday.
it's Nerf or nothing.
Like, what were we thinking? You know, but dude, so many good memories of building cardboard fortresses and pool parties in the backyard and causing havoc with babysitters and
and they were older than you.
Yeah, I was the youngest at the time.
Yeah. Wow.
So and the dynamics have changed drastically because of religion and divorce and all that bullshit. But there was a lot of really good memories that I think when I've heard when you're on your deathbed, you start thinking about like 5 to 10 things in life.
I heard you see your whole life flash before your eyes.
No. Wrong. I'm kidding. I've never been on my deathbed.
I was going to say,
But
how do you know?
when I do think, I mean, even now, like, childhood is pretty foggy to me. Like, when I say, if I was to define childhood as like age 0 to age 8, there's not a lot of memories there. But the few that are there are really positive and really good. And I do think that when I'm on my deathbed, I'll just remember like that time when it was just me, Melissa, and Mark. Not to say Beth and Kate like came in and ruined it. They didn't. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there is a decade where Beth and Kate were not in the picture.
Yeah.
And so that is a very significant amount of time.
All right, cut. Pee break number 4, baby. Or 5.
I don't even know. I did see a podcast the other day with we were going to go back to you so quick, but I did see, I just had a realization the other day. I think I saw my first podcast with a wireless mic setup.
Really?
Like Stephen Bart, the Diary of CEO. He's in Europe, so if you haven't heard of him, that's not surprising. In Europe, I think he might be like the top. He may be the Joe Rogan of Europe. That's how big he is.
Oh, wow.
But he uses mics. Rogan uses mics. Chris Williamson's using. They all use mics with cords. And the other day, I was looking at a new podcast. I was just scanning through an episode. I watched like maybe 5 minutes of this hour-and-a-half long episode. But one of the things I watched that I saw as I progressed, like, and I was fast forwarding through it, I was like, "Oh shit,
wireless."
they're wireless."
Did you hear any difference in audio quality, or was it pretty good?
I think we were about the same.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
it wasn't
cool.
any better. Yeah, so. And I was surprised because I think the Bluetooth would be a little bit less, which makes me think he may have paid more for them.
I feel like there could be a bigger delay.
Maybe you'd have to play with your box.
The RGB link, shout out.
Can I ask you questions about your family,
Let's
your parents?
go. Let's
Are they
go.
still together?
No, they're not.
Do you remember how old you were when they separated?
It's probably like 3 or 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you don't even really remember the dynamics of like the three of you because that was. Do you remember back to being that young?
Not really. I mean, I think like the earliest memory I could ever think of is me being in like a fenced-in area. You know how they have like the kid fences?
Mm-hmm.
Just I remember being in there with my blanket and being in a room with my mom and my dad. And maybe like there are some moments I remember being very young, seeing both of them together, but most of my life has been with divorced parents. Yeah.
Did you grow up did they have split custody? So
Yes, sir.
You went back and forth pretty regularly?
Yep. It was actually a pretty cool schedule. It was actually like the first half of the week I was with my dad, and then the second half of the week I was with my mom, and then the weekends would switch. So, you know, let's say this first week was with my dad. That weekend I would stay with him until the end of the middle of the week, then go to my mom, and then I would be with her till the end of the week, and then the weekend, and then whatnot. So always Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, I was with my dad, and then Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, I was with my mom, and then Saturday and Sunday, I would be with either my mom or my dad.
And then do you remember having any thoughts growing up about, because in a way, since your memories don't go back to 3 years old, was it second nature to you? Like, was that normal? Or did you ever question, like, why am I with mom these 3 days, 5 days?
No, I don't even think I really had a choice. I think it came to the point where I knew it wasn't like a me thing. I feel like that's like definitely like a me thing. If you're definitely questioning those types of things, then it's kind of like is a little bit selfish. But back then, I don't even think I was selfish enough to even to think about it like that, because being a little kid, you kind of just have to conform to the nature of where you live, right? Like, I just had to deal with it. That's it. It was like nature. Yeah, it just became like second nature, right?
Did you ever ask them why they divorced?
No, I knew why.
Why?
Why do you think?
Your dad's gay?
They weren't getting...
I'm glad that made him laugh, because I
Maybe?
literally don't know. Like he's
Maybe?
he's
No, I
talking
don't
to
know.
me like we've talked
No,
about this
just kidding.
before and we never have.
No, they just weren't getting along. Just weren't getting along. I don't know the details,
Yeah.
but I just know, based on their personality traits now, as an adult, they definitely just don't get along. And what's funny is I, like, carry on both attributes of each one of them. So I feel like sometimes when we have discussions or I challenge them, and I try not to do this anymore, but, like, if I tried to challenge one as a different side, like a devil's advocate type of thing, the devil's advocate would always be, like, my dad's way of thinking or my mom's way of thinking, and it would annoy the shit out of the parent. And yeah, I think I used to get a kick out of that. Now I try not to do that anymore, because I think I owe them a lifetime of no stress. I don't want to stress them out anymore.
So if I understood what you just said, as you observe their dynamics, and I think kids are smart.
Totally.
Really smart. I think they're probably the best observers on the planet.
Yeah, they have so much time.
Yeah, they do. They don't have jobs, they don't have school.
Yeah.
All they do is watch their parents and their siblings.
And
their
TV.
Yeah.
Or TikTok.
So if I understood by challenge, would you sort of catch on to things that your mom would do to your dad to annoy him and vice versa, and then sometimes do those things, like intentionally try to get under your parents' skin?
I don't think, like, specifically there are any things that I would do. I think it came down to, like, thought process. I think I just started to understand, like, what their minds were kind of thinking about in the moment, but no, not really. Honestly, you want to know what? I really don't think I knew the full spectrum of what was going on in each other's minds, because I was so young. I think maybe I had an idea of why, but truly I don't think I really knew why, if that makes sense.
So let's say that at 4 years old, when they divorced, if you had 0% understanding of the spectrum of why they separated,
Yeah.
and fast forward to where you're at today, how well do you think that you understand the dynamics of their relationship?
I didn't understand it at all.
Still don't.
Yeah. Well, I knew it. I think I know it now. I'm 28, by the way. No, sorry. Wow.
You're not.
I'm 29.
I know his age better than him.
No, I'm 28. I'm 28 forever. Unless you look at my hairline, apparently.
34.
Yeah.
If that Gen
Thanks,
Zer was
Gen
here.
Z.
You know, I should. Oh man, I want to
40
give him name credit, but I can't.
What did he call you the other day? What name did he or number did he give you?
He gave me like 44 or something.
That was wild, dude. Can we cut this one out real quick? Anyway, sorry. I just had to.
We're gonna go from having a huge laugh off mic to back to Nick's life.
Back to my divorced parents situation.
So fast forward to today.
Yeah.
How's your relationship with them?
I think it's really good.
Both of them.
Yeah, I think there's definitely ups and downs, but I think that's with any relationship, right? Parent,
Anyone.
Yeah, anyone.
Any relationship that's up all the time,
It's gonna go down real fast.
But I mean, we shouldn't project. But yes, no relationship is perfect.
Yeah, and so I think I have a pretty healthy one. I think because I'm an only child, I think I don't have a lot of expectations held on me to like stay and stick around. Like I think some people when they are in a bigger family environment, they want to be around family because that's what they know. And their family used to come over and they used to have dinner all the time or meet up during the holidays, this, that. And I'm not saying I don't have that. And I love being able to be with my family. But I just think that, like, because of the divorce, it gave me, while I was older, a reason to be like, I don't need to be traditional. And I don't need to be in Connecticut my whole life to be happy and to live the life that I want to live. Like, I can be anywhere, right? Anywhere that's warm to a point. But yeah, I think.
So you chose Austin with the 17-degree iced over roads and the turned over trucks.
Yeah, but wait
Nice
till the
and
summer
warm.
and it's 120
Yeah,
degrees,
I
you know?
It's crazy.
It does get crazy. I was just saying that to Dee the other day. I was like, or I think it was today. I was like, isn't it wild that, you know, at this point, it's January, come February, it may be the coldest we ever get. And then June, July, it's going to just like scorch.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to scorch so much.
And the summer lasted a lot longer than our quote unquote winter lasted 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tomorrow, I think the low is like, the weather the rest of the week is just.
Do you think we'll get another cold front?
In February, I bet we will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But March, no.
No.
No way. No way. But yeah, so yeah, my relationship with my parents is good. I always try to communicate with them always during the week, like that being calls. I love calling my
How
parents.
often do you call them?
I'll probably I try to aim to call my parents like once or twice a week. I'm their only child, by the way. So like I feel like a lot of parents are like, oh, I don't get a lot of calls. I've got like 5 kids. I don't get a lot of calls. My parents have one and I get to call them. And I think it's great because it's not a pretty big expectation because it's just one of me, right? And they got other things to worry about. But yeah, I try to call them at least like once a week, twice. They'll call me too.
Yeah.
Which is great.
I do wonder how my mom's doing right now because she has 5 kids and she has one in New York, one in Texas, one in Oregon, one in mid-California, and then one that is still living with her in Northern Cali. And to your point about big families, I think that I can't imagine that 4 of her 5 kids moving a significant portion away has been easy on her. But one thing that I thought is that we would talk a lot more, and I think we've had maybe one phone call, and it's not because we're not close. We're
Right.
super close.
Yeah. You're busy.
And she is too. She has a full-time job.
Yeah.
She's still raising one kid.
Yeah, right.
She owns her home. She loves to garden. She meal preps. So she's doing her thing.
Yeah.
And I think the job,
Yeah.
thank God she has that job.
Yeah.
And she loves it. If she didn't, I bet she'd be going nuts right now.
Yeah, I bet.
As anyone would. Kids are not. Like,
Just
no,
something to occupy your time from.
the bulk of her week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you
I
left
feel that.
when you left Connecticut for the first time, how old were you and where'd you go?
I was 19 and I went to Keene, New Hampshire for college.
And then
I went to Keene for 3 years. That's like my graphic design training plus there. It was awesome.
how'd you land in Austin?
I landed in Austin. Okay. Let me tell you this story. All right. So, 19, I go to Keene State for 3 years. I went to school for graphic design. And then when I graduated, I went to Colorado for 10 weeks as a videographer for a camp called Ascendigo. And Ascendigo was a camp where kids on the spectrum, not even kids, adults too, can do extreme sports. And it was challenged by choice. So it was like, if they wanted to continue the challenge, if they wanted to go further, like some kids wouldn't be able to get on the board. They would just be kind of like screaming because they were scared. And then there are some kids who are nonverbal, like shredding gnar on the water, doing wake surfing. Wild. And so I was a videographer for that, multimedia specialist with my friend Sam. He helped me out with that. After that, maybe like 3 weeks after I left, my girlfriend moved. I was still in a committed relationship after college. And when I went to Colorado, she was in Boston living with her folks for a little bit, but then she wanted to move. Our whole goal was to like move. We wanted to get out. And so we went to Charlotte, North Carolina, in Pineville. I worked at the Pineville Mall at that Zoomies. Fuck that Zoomies.
He would, you, from what I know about you, which is much more, that makes so much sense for you that you were at Zoomies for a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't a great choice, but it was the only one I had. So I went to Charlotte, North Carolina, young buck, 23 years old. I was like, I can score any job. Couldn't score shit. And so I had to go work at a mall.
And you were graduated at this point.
Yeah, I was graduated. And I had just come back from my Colorado excursion. I mean, hello. I was like having hire me. I was having the time of my life. And so I was trying to get hired in Charlotte, North Carolina. Things weren't working out. I mean, we're talking like rent was got to be like $900 for two of us, and I still couldn't afford it. So we had to sit back. I had talked to D about it. I was like, listen, like, this might not be working. Not us, but like us living here. Right. Like you don't really, she didn't really like her job. I didn't really have a job. I did, but I quit. And
so you didn't.
So I ended up not. Well, you know what? When you have a conversation with your manager about like what you truly want in your life, and you're telling them that you don't want to work at Zoomies, and then they're saying the same thing, and then like a day later they're like, "Do you really want to work here?" That's a really great way to motivate your employees to want to stay with the company. You know what I mean? Right. So I literally that day when I was like folding shirts, she was like, "Do you even want to stay here?" I didn't even say anything. And so I told one of the employees, I was like, "Yo, you want to know something funny?" He goes, "What?" I go, "I'm quitting tonight." He's like, "Oh man, you're the only cool one." And I was like, "Yeah, there's a reason." I was like, "This place is not it." I was like, "I suggest you find something else because this place isn't it." So we moved back from Charlotte. We went back up north to Boston. That was like a 14-hour excursion. I was in a big ol' UPS truck. That was wild. Driving that whole thing all the way up there. And then we got to Boston and we stayed with my girlfriend's folks for like 2 years. Then we got an apartment in Boston. And then after that, we got remote jobs due to the pandemic. And because of that, Dee and I, we were like, let's travel. Let's keep our remote jobs and let's get Airbnbs at different states and different cities for like a month, 2 months at a time, see if we like it, and then pick which one we want to be in. So we went back to North Carolina. We went to Durham. We stayed right next to UNC Chapel Hill. Go Tar Heels. The boys in blue. We went to Atlanta. That was really nice. We went to Florida, Flagler Beach. It was like retirement city there. It was awesome. Like nobody was there. Then we went to Arkansas, Little Rock. We went back up to Rhode Island. We stayed there for a month for like the Christmas time. That was like the beginning of 2021. And then we went to Austin. The goal was after Austin to go to Colorado. So we stayed in Austin for 2 months. I've got a buddy who lives here. He's a glass blower. He introduced me to a bunch of other friends. And then we went up to Colorado. And Colorado was like, it was a disaster. It was a disaster.
What part?
Dude, the whole trip. So we get there and we stayed in this Airbnb in Aurora, and it was dirty. It was nasty. It was so gross. Like there was like ash from fire in this place, and the place was just like we weren't comfortable. So we got an Airbnb in Colorado Springs for 2 weeks. We were supposed to stay in Colorado for 2 months, and it moved to 2 weeks because we were like, we're done traveling. we were so done traveling. And so the day that we left Colorado, my car engine blew.
Fuck.
Like right on the border of New Mexico and Colorado. We got towed back to Colorado, and then we shipped the car back to Austin. We got a rental, and we drove 14 hours like on a Monday to get back to Austin, and we stayed in a couple Airbnbs, and then we found this place, and we've loved it ever since. We don't want to move right now. I don't think there's any need to move. We've met a lot of cool people, and a lot of friends of D's has moved into Austin as well, and we just feel just feels natural here. I really, and I think like a lot of people, when they talk about Austin, the first thing they think about is like 6th Street and like downtown.
Which I haven't even been to yet.
Yeah, right. And I like, me neither. Like I've been to 6th Street, but I've never been there at like night. I don't really go out to drink. I don't really do anything like that. And fight.
Yeah.
And stuff. But I love the west of Austin. It's like so awesome. The hills. Dude, we live on this, I don't want to dox us, but we live on this hill, and we've got like, doesn't matter where we go on the hill, there's always going to be a good view of downtown Austin.
Mm-hmm. We're really blessed.
Of the lake that's right next door.
Yeah.
We get to see all that in Austin. Like not
Right.
a lot of people can say that they get to see that. They like live in like the city, and they pay like Uber rent to like live down there. And they're it's like dorm living, where I feel like over here it's
Well,
like,
that's the thing is when you go, especially from my front door versus yours, when we go from this door right here to the entrance to that thing, 2 minutes, if that,
yeah,
and we have all that nature
all of
just
that.
to us and our neighbors.
I know. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm glad that we found this spot, because it's brought me to, I mean, we got a dog, which is amazing. I've never had a dog in my entire life.
You got Dusty while you were in Austin?
Yeah. When we were living in there, before we got Dusty, Dee and I would always go to animal shelters for like our mental health, because we love seeing the kittens, and we would love petting them, and we
Yeah.
would love seeing the dogs, and like we would just love it. And so we went to Austin Pets Alive, and there you have it. We see this one dog named Woof, and we were like, oh my God, he is so cute. And he put his nose through the fence. He wanted to get pet by us. He wanted to be with us. And so we told the people up front which one we wanted to see in our time frame, and they said, listen, I know you said you want him in like the next coming month, but if you want this dog, you're going to have to take him today. So we hopped in our car. I was so nervous. I had no idea. I was nervous for the first like half of the year. I never had a dog in my life, and so that opened me up to dogs and like how they act, and I'm still learning every day. And even though it is cold, I do really appreciate the nicer weather, and there's a ton of places to walk. And there's like a 14-mile path from over here straight to Zilker.
Really?
Yeah.
We could walk to Zilker
Yes.
from here?
Maybe not from here, but we can like drive somewhere off Bee Cave, and we can walk 14 miles straight to
We'll have to
Zilker.
do that in the spring.
I know.
Before summer, post this.
Well, what I was thinking is, you take your car and we take my car. We bring your car to like the end.
Yes.
We bring my car to the front.
Yes.
We walk there with the
Yes.
dogs.
Yes.
Drive back.
Done.
Yeah. Anyway, good plan. There's just like a lot. And on top of that too, I was dealing with a really big like stomach issue, which gave me a lot of mental anxiety and health anxiety. And being in Austin and having places that had a lot more friendlier allergy options was really great.
Yeah.
What are we doing on time? Does this episode need a part 2?
I have 2 more questions for you, and
All
then
right.
we're going to wrap up.
Hell yeah.
When I first read your intro, multimedia producer, graphic designer, video editor, podcast production, music production. Since we've been talking today, we also have found out you're an only child. You went to a public school. What is something about you that you wish people would know that's not so surface level? Not to say that this has all been surface. I've absolutely loved every second of this episode. But is there something about Nick? What is it?
I'll say it with my full chest and my ego. My ego's out now.
Okay.
I'm a rock star. I'm a literal rock star. And I don't mean that in the way where I'm like some sort of like hair metal band person. But man, I'm a freaking rock star because not only do I do all of this production stuff, but I've been on the stage. I love playing guitar. I love being on stage and playing, and I love all that energy. And I just want to carry this rock star energy throughout my entire life. Like I never want to, there's something about it that it's kind of like, I think being a rock star today is more about showing and being confident in the things that you like to do, right? If I'm being forced to kind of do something that I don't want to necessarily do, you'll know, because I'll be dragging my feet and I'll be whining and complaining about it. But the things that I'm good at and the things that I continually get good at, I can confidently say that I'm just a rock star with all that stuff, man. I think like, I don't know. I think sometimes when I'm talking to people about like production and stuff, I feel like I've done so much thinking and like researching and sampling, and like I definitely can be somebody that can help other people. I'm like a rock star, but I'm also like somebody who works in the background as well. I'm like a back end rock star. Does that make sense? Like at a production standpoint, like a leader in that type of space, I feel. And although I don't have a lot to show for it right now, I don't think it's not the end result that I feel is like the biggest part of it. I think it's just like the mentality and the work ethic towards it, and like understanding and also giving my 2 cents towards those subjects is what makes me a rock star.
I like that answer.
Yeah, thank you.
You are a rock star.
Yeah.
As far as
I know I am.
As far as the behind the scenes stuff, I mean, in the last episode we recorded, I won't say who or any specifics, but you showed up an hour before the episode, and we're literally just like punching all these buttons and pulling up YouTube videos and doing all these things for the podcast. And so I do see how you're very humble in the sense that you're okay with taking that behind the scenes, that until this moment, no one knew that you did that, and you came over and you did it, and you did all these things that I didn't understand and I still don't understand, and it was just so kind of you. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I think what's great about me in that rock star sense is that I'm very good at like all of this digital production gear. Like all the stuff that we see here is just, I like get it. And so even when I was a kid, say we went to school together, we were friends, we wanted to play Xbox or like Switch or like whatever video game system was out then. My friends would be hitting me up on how to figure out how to create accounts, how to set up wireless connections, how to do this and that. And I loved going on YouTube, finding out how to do something and making it work. Like for example, if you played Xbox 360 back in the day and you needed to buy this wireless router for the back of the Xbox to connect to your internet, that would be $100, right? You know what I did? I said, I don't have $100. I'm a freshman in high school. I went on YouTube. I found out how to connect the Xbox to my laptop, turn the laptop into the wireless router. And now I'm playing Xbox Live with my friends with a wireless connection that's bridged from my computer over to my wireless route, right? So I like configure all these like technical things out because I know it can happen. And also some things are like necessary, right? Like the whole audio delay thing. I'm so stoked that that's working out for you because that's something that somebody would like completely overlook, and I would have overlooked that too. But since you said that, like there are these little production notes that I take. It's like, okay, how do we make that better? How do we make sure that that's not an issue for the future? Like
You literally solved the biggest headache of 2023 in an hour.
And we got it done. And the best part is you had the gear. I didn't need to like influence you on like spending XYZ. Like you had the budget, you had the confidence to do it. You weren't like backing off. And so when I'm with people who are in that mentality, I just thrive because I can help them with my knowledge in this, and then also take like my problem solving skills with technology and apply it to say like a podcast or a music production or video editing. And you've seen all of that. You've seen all of that. So, and yeah.
I have one more question for you, but before we move to it, I just want to say thank you so much for coming over tonight. This has been super fun.
Totally.
We knew, obviously I had my note about LinkedIn, so I knew that would come up at one point or the other. But I did do a little bit of planning. I went through some of your socials and I did a few other things, and actually a couple of the questions I jotted down we didn't even get to. But this was so much fun. It was such a pleasure. So thank you for your time.
Listen, let's do this again.
We will.
Yeah.
You'll be back.
I think what's great about this is that he does call me his Jamie, and that's like a Joe Rogan joke. I did go up to him too, and I did ask him as well if I could be his Jamie. The word for word, I did literally say that. So he's not being like mean or anything like that. He does mean it, because I went up to him one day when I was unemployed and I said, I really like what you're doing here. I would love to be your Jamie, that being any way I can help. And so one thing I will say is I'm very impressed, like I've said earlier, with like his DIY do-it-yourself mentality, with the switcher and the board, that I don't even need to be hands-on right now. And I think as you truly progress, as long as we're like in Austin or even whatever the future holds, like I still want to be there, and I still want to help as much as I possibly can.
I already plan on, I don't know if you're going to, we'll discuss details on our own, but for the episodes that come up in 2024 that are very special to me, I'm definitely going to have you over here.
I'm so down.
Have you just take care of this.
I love that.
And I actually have a few people I already know I want you to co-host with me, because similar to Danny, because we are two very different people. People may have not seen it in this episode, but after how many dog walks we've been on, we have a different view on politics and how to run businesses. And so I think that makes for good co-hosts, because if we had the same opinions on everything,
yeah,
there'd
we would
be
just
no
be
point.
gassing each other up.
Right. Yeah.
It'd be so fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I David, I do appreciate that too. I think that's a really good way to put it. I think like, what's really funny? I thought about this today.
Jokes.
You're from the West Coast,
yeah,
and I'm from the East Coast.
Yeah,
like no wonder we have two different personalities.
It makes sense. Yeah. All right, are you ready for your final question?
Yeah, let's go.
Could take you 30 seconds. You might pontificate for the rest of the episode. What is the advice that someone could have but didn't give you at 21 years old that would have made you more successful at the thing you do now?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Just apply yourself to literally everything you love to do.
What do you mean apply yourself?
Like, just whenever you find something that you like that is productive, that being making music, editing videos, mowing lawns, writing stories, anything. Artistic, productive. Just keep applying yourself and just work towards being better at it, and don't expect, I guess honestly, don't expect to be like a big famous person. Like don't have high expectations. I think if somebody had told me, hey, even at 18, lower the expectations, I think I probably would be less stressed. Because if there was like less expectations towards everything, I probably wouldn't have rushed a ton of things in my life. Because everything's got so much high expectation, and then once there's like this high expectation, you kind of get like nervous about even doing it. Do you ever feel like that? Do you ever like there's something that's like, I don't know. I think as a kid, like if there was like some sort of crazy ass high expectation project that school required you to work on, personally me, I'd blow it until the last minute and then fucking do it. Because naturally, like, how much time do we really have in life to really work and do all the things that we want to do? But I think if everything had like such a low expectation, it was so chill, everybody would probably end up getting the things done that they wanted to get done. Right? There's such a high expectation on being an influencer or being like a successful artist or being the #1 podcast on whatever platform, which, you know, the David Saturday Night Sit Back will be one day.
One day.
But just to like set a low standard, like stop having high standards. Everybody has high standards towards everything. Like relationships, people have fucking crazy standards for that. It's wild what you could hear people say what they want in their relationship. And sometimes it's like it's like material sometimes, like really like a lot of looks, right? Like certain looks can apply, or age, or anything. I just think like if you lower the expectation, the less disappointed you'll be at the outcome of what you do.
It's a good wrap up.
That's a great wrap up.
I know it's your episode, but because we're just over the New Year's and you said 3 specific things, do you mind if I reflect on 3
Let's hear
episodes
it.
from 2023?
Yeah.
You mentioned mowing lawns. Austin Abbott's episode is a young man who, when we recorded, I think was either 20 or 21 and is scaling $100,000+ lawn mowing business here in Austin, Texas.
Wow.
So some people,
That's fantastic.
if you may have scoffed at that, like I thought it was very funny that you said lawn mowing specifically. Go back to Austin's episode. If you're maybe a first-time listener to Nick's episode and you listen this entire time, I'm assuming you liked it, go listen to Austin's. It's not what you think. The first 30 minutes or so will be about the lawn mowing business, and then it will go down a wild ride of the one episode. I usually don't talk about numbers, but more than downloads.
Whoa.
It was pretty wild.
Dude, that's awesome.
And then you mentioned storytelling. You know, Emma Goldstein, who was just on, we mentioned her earlier in this episode. She didn't want to go to Los Angeles and work on the next Meg 4, the shark movie. She wanted to do independent filmmaking, stay here in Austin, Texas. So if you'd like some inspiration in the film scheme of things, go listen to Emma's episode. And then you also mentioned, in terms of high expectations and wanting to be an influencer, that I can't go into the details because we literally only have 2 minutes of recording time left. But the one episode that I recorded and was not proud of and will never release was someone whose ultimate goal in life was to be an influencer. And the conversation as a whole just had, there was no
Substance.
Yeah. So with that being said, you have been Nick. I have been David. You have been the David Saturday Night Sit Back audience. Thank you so much for joining us, you guys. You know what to do if you like the episode. We said it 3 times in this episode. Go do it. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay happy, and we'll see you next Saturday for another episode. Bye, everyone.